Seamless. All right there. Well, what a busy day. I've no doubt you've been busy too. Haven't seen not many views on my 40-minute, it's a bit long, I know, 40-minute takedown of a video a young lad made. He's quite a nice bloke, actually. I just don't think he realises. He doesn't. He made a video about vartation has immediately occurred. He made a video about Orientalism. That's an absolute thing. Nice one, Anglo. Hoyt to that. Hope you're right, mate. Hello, Charlie. Thank you, Anglo. Very kind. He made a video about Orientalism, which is a ridiculous, pathetic idea dreamt up by the likes of Edward Said and Stuart Hall. It was part of the Birmingham School of Contemporary Cultural... Contemporary Cultural... I can't remember, it's CCCS. I say it in the video. And that's what I studied, cultural studies. Now, cultural studies is what give us gender studies. Cultural studies is what give us women's studies. It was the idea behind cultural studies, and they'll outright tell you this. They're not closet Marxists. The idea of the Birmingham School, the Centre for Contemporary Cultural Studies, the CCCS, was intended to stuff as much Marxism into the higher education, into higher education institutions as possible. You know, it was like, what would you call it? It was a battle within the Long March, and that they won, without a doubt. That's why when I watched this video of this young lad who made this video about the world of Susie Wong, which is a classic romance, man meets sex worker, falls in love with her. When he made that video, quoting the likes of Edward Said and Stuart Hall and a few others who I give you a little bit more info in the video, I said to him, like 3 o'clock in the morning last night, I left a message, leftist nonsense. And he got back to me and... I think I said leftist nonsense. I'll make a video response to this. And he got back to me. He said, I'm kind of made up that you're bothering to make a response. He said, but it's not really political. You know, I'm more just interested in how these tropes and stereotypes, blah, blah, blah. That's the interesting bit. He doesn't realize that that's political. He doesn't realize how absolutely on the Marxist party line that is. He thinks it's neutral, and that's a real concern, because if you've got at least when I was being turned into a communist, when I was being brain dirted into communism, at least I knew it, you know. But because it's so ubiquitous now, the whole ideology, the whole destroy the West ideology, which is all it is. You know, cultural Marxism, if you're going to oppose that to economic Marxism, you've essentially got destroy Western culture. And there's no sense of what you're going to, what's going to be in its place. It doesn't matter. They don't care, because they just think it will be fairer if the people who've done well have it taken away from them. What a nice society. They want to take a place that has got natural hierarchies, because not everyone's the same. I know they have their utopian brave new world thinking, but unfortunately some people are taller than me. Not many, not in this part of the world. That's why I moved here. I'm the big guy. Big penis. But, you know, we're all different, and they want to neutralize all differences, because diversity is a strength, of course, until they neutralize them all, because there aren't any. You can't have it both ways, I'm afraid. And Orientalism is hogwash. Horus watched a bit of my video. I say a bit, maybe watched it all. But he fucking should do, the 20-minute messages he sends me. But he said to me, I read Orient. I went, well, I don't think it mind me reading it out, actually, because it's... I read Orientalism a couple of years ago. It is simply drivel, a complete waste of time. Doesn't say anything, just jumped up prats who've been told that they speak for the third world or whatever. Worthless. And yet, The idea of just as much as cultural studies gave birth to gender studies, gave birth to race studies, gave birth to feminist studies, and it did. Orientalism, this stuff is at the center of social justice. Orientalism is in many ways the birthplace, although, you know, historical ideas are kind of more like a rhizome than a root, but Orientalism was and remains instrumental in the promotion of post-colonial studies. You know, and don't think post-colonial studies is benign. You know, you think, if someone said to me, if I didn't know about higher education, if I hadn't already been through it, hello, Wolfie, is that the real Wolfie? If I didn't know anything about it, that's quite interesting. Okay, there's been a lot of colonization. You know, it's the history of the world. You know, history of the world is a history of colonization, is a history of human groups moving to fighting for resources. Vartation has come again. You know, we frequently talk about life being a fight for resources. So, you know, that's interesting. Post-colonialism, what people have stopped. Well, I'm seeing major movements of different groups colonizing other countries. So I wonder what this post-colonialism is. Well, no, it's not that. It's not that. It's hate white people. And I know that because I've been in the seminars. And it's not critical. You don't sit down and get to debate these texts. No. You sit down and learn them. You sit down and learn how to repeat these ideas. You sit down and learn how to repeat. It keeps slipping my mind. You sit down and learn to repeat Orientalism, which is why that lad who made that video, I mean, he's not an idiot. He's actually a nice bloke, but he just learned how to repeat it. And that is how the university, that is how academia reproduces the necessary cultural and ideological relationships to reproduce itself, so that the next generation of tutors and staff and course directors, they're all the people that repeated what they were told the best. They're the people who get the first class honours degrees because everything we told you, it's all in this essay. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Whereas the people who, like myself, who went, well, hang on a minute, this doesn't make a lot of sense. No, you get, well, I didn't get a third, but you know, you get sort of ushed out. I didn't get asked to write in for the cultural studies magazine. Oh, I just got a missed call from Devon Tracy. That's got to be a mistake. Well, not that he doesn't call me, but I don't know why he'd be calling me now. Hello, Planet X Hunter. What's it the best? Well, I will be giving questions. He'll be here in a minute. I told him that I'll be 5 minutes housekeeping. He said, yeah, about half hour. But he'll be here in a minute. I will be Liam will be taking questions. And before I get on to that, let me just say this. Please watch that the Susie Wong video I made, because Orientalism is in many ways the beating heart. You know, it's a set of ideas that maintains the beating heart of the leftist race hammer that they're using to bash everyone all over the West with at the moment. I should have said all that in the video, and I maybe I'll do a little 5-minute supplement piece about. Oh yeah, maybe I'll do another video on Orientalism. Anyway, nice one, Planet X. I hope for that. Hello, Steve. Liam will be taking questions. I will prioritise super chats because I'm my own Susie Wong, but I will try and get other questions in. Now, before he comes in, I mean, he's not here yet, but I'm sure he's watching. And I have talked to him. He is coming. We done a test and everything about 20 minutes ago. But I know Oi, Liam from Insulate Britain told me the other day that he saw a mouth nose. Oh, I've got to sort out that flickering. Yeah, he saw a mouth nose. In a way, worse than a bum fanny. Just a mouth and nose, like. Yeah, nice. I think if I was a wife, I'd be happier to find a bum fanny in me husband's secret drawer than I would a nose mouth. Oof, ghastly. It's like, just stop it. I mean, I'd rather find neither. I think you'd rather find your husband cheating with a real woman than a bum fanny, let's be fair. But anyway, let me just get this out here. I'm just closing a lot of windows that don't need to be open. It will slow my computer down. I don't think my editing software needs to be open. And that will take a year and a half to, that'll slow everything down. Give me a couple of seconds. So listen, do you remember we were watching that whole Insulate Britain thing happened, and we were on a live stream, and we thought, well, let's have a look at some of it. And then I suddenly said, hang on a minute, I know that fella, and I do. I know Liam. We'll go into how I met him when he comes on, but he's a nice bloke. He's a nice bloke, and I'll tell you this: oh my God, I've got so many unnecessary windows open. That's because I've been grafting all day. All right, that can be shut as well. I think I can risk that one. Sorry, people, but it will save my computer from failing. I can close that one. Who's ringing me up now? Rags. Why does Rags always call me? Rags?
Hello, Chris. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Your man Liam's looking for a link to the FREETRADE.
How do you know that? How did he tell you? I put it in.
Because it's in the chat.
Tell him he's in the chat. Liam, you're in the chat. I put the link in Twitter. Thank you, Rags. I'll sort it out. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Thank you, Rags. Yeah, Liam, I've just put it in the chat, but I put it in the Twitter DMs like I said I would earlier. Nice to see some OG scrubs on the firm. Loads of them. There you go. Look, there's me closing pages, and I didn't even open. Oh, I haven't made that one go live yet. So it's in the chat there, Liam. Right, that can be closed there. That can be opened there. So yeah, I think Liam's intentions are good. I mean, I've already said to him, I said, a guess, no one in my stream is on your side here. I might be wrong. We might have a few closet Britain insulators. I think if everyone insulated their houses, wonderful. Save on electricity, save on a waste of energy. Liam Norton, check 1 2 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Well, your audio's well. There you go. Right, no problem. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
So, we met in Narcotics Anonymous, didn't we?
We did, mate. Yeah.
Not that anonymous now, though, is it?
No, we broke a tradition or two, I reckon, by saying that. But anyway, who cares?
It's never anonymous, is it? It should. I've got some weird fleck or something. It should be called gossip, not anonymous. Unanonymous gossip. What the fuck is that? You have to be careful out here, Liam, because
what have you been up to? What have you been up to, Chris?
Well, I'm in Cambodia. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Here we go. I'll tell you what, Liam, out of all the drugs I've done, and I've had a few, I hate that stuff. I hate it.
It's moody, isn't it?
It's awful. What a horrible drug. Cocaine is what we're talking about, people. It's just jank, and you know what? If it was £2 a gram, you wouldn't have people in the Groucho Club on it. It's all about the price, isn't it? We got onto drugs quite quickly, didn't we? That's not what you're here for. Liam Norton, we're going to have a look at you on a bit of telly. I'm not going to show the bit where you rage quit. I'm sure you've seen that.
Rage quit. I saw that on the description. I thought rage quit. That's a cool one.
Internet speak.
Rage
speak. Yeah.
Is that a term? Is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mate, you're. Where have you been? What, rage quit?
I'm not on the internet. Yeah, I don't know about that stuff.
Your built-in ZX Spectrum camera gives that away.
My cousin used. Oh, this is a Mac. I've got to give it another wipe, maybe. Oh, let me do that.
No, you're going to have to give your browser a wipe with some optical fiber, maybe. Yeah, I mean, is it coal powered? Right, Liam. Anyway, I'm not putting these on to take the piss. That's why I'm not showing the rage quit.
No, you can do. I'm all up for whatever, man. I've had.
Yeah, but I'll tell you why. We watched it 20 times already. So I'm just gonna. I'll tell you why, because I can't stand Richard Madeley. God, Lord knows how you tolerated him as long as you did. But we're watching it because Madeley's an arsehole. But, you know, you also said some things that I would potentially question. Let's have a look at this. And we'll only watch a couple of minutes of it. And then I've got a little clip of you and your people. But you'll have to let us know in a minute what the situation is with the leadership or whatever and what your position is. But for context, for people who don't know, Liam was the spokesman. Is that right? You certainly were.
Yeah, spokesperson.
Right. The spokesperson. You have to say that. Okay. It's a leftist organisation, is it? You were the spokesperson for a climate alarmist organisation called Insulate Britain. It kicked off, I'm guessing, last September?
Yeah, September.
About a year ago.
Yeah, it was a year ago to the day, actually. Yeah, a few days ago.
This is you on Good Morning Britain. We'll only watch a couple of minutes because we'll get yeeted. People, if I do get yeeted, they bring me back in 4 minutes, but we should be able to get away with a couple of minutes.
You are putting the rage quit clip on, aren't you?
Yeah, but I'm not going to get that far. I won't let it go that far because it's pointless. Right, here we go. Let me know you got audio, people.
Okay, so you're saying you can't afford to insulate your home?
No, what I'm saying is millions of people in the country.
It's not.
Millions of people in the country cannot afford to do it. That's why millions of our people
So you're not insulating your home as a protest?
Do you think it's acceptable for millions of the people in our country to be living in fuel poverty, tens of thousands of them to be dying in their homes, freezing to death? Do you think that's acceptable?
I can't understand why you wouldn't start with insulating your own home.
Whether that's true or not, do you think that's acceptable?
But
because that's what's going on.
Right. Liam, can I just come in here now? This time last week when you came on, I put a couple of things to you. I read you the dictionary definition of fascism.
Yeah.
And it absolutely describes what you're...
I mean, the fact that Madeley called you fascists is fucking, you couldn't make that up. It's like, that's mainstream legacy media playbook 101. But call them a nation, call them a fascist, call them a Nazi, they'll be all right.
Yeah.
And also, they're not actually letting you say anything. You put a point, whether I agree with it or not, they don't let you. They're just next. Oh, you haven't paid for your house to be done. Is that a protest? What? I didn't say it was a protest. Blah, blah, blah. We'll watch a little bit more. Here we go.
Supporters are doing on the motorways. It is the act of a fascist regime to impose will and the determination to impose.
I'm just trying to think of Mussolini getting the black shirt on the M25. The black shirts were prepared for a life of violence, not sitting on the road. I'm sorry, I'm not taking that, Richard. But anyway,
some kind of global solution on the individual without consulting the individual and to dictate that to them. So I would say to you again that you are behaving like a fascist. I also...
And Richard, you're behaving like a fucking plonker. Liam, any idea why they're blurring out their entire screen?
Yeah, I don't understand. I think what it might be is that clip was from LBC. So basically what happens is when they air it on the telly, they probably give them a few quid for when they air it. And then afterwards, for the YouTube, they blur it out. I think that's the reason.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense, but showing it doesn't. Here's
No, yeah.
nothing. Here's nothing to
Yeah.
watch. Right, we'll have a little bit more. You fascists.
Take that to them. So I would say to you again that you are behaving like a fascist. I also predicted that we would be seeing serious consequences in the queues behind the blockages.
Right, and this is why I'm playing this clip. So this is the relevant bit. Apart from he got fascist in 4 times in 1 minute.
And you told me that I was being hypothetical and you didn't accept it. Well, a couple of days later, a woman suffered a stroke sitting in a car in solid traffic with her son at her side. He was driving at a hospital because the stroke had started at home. She couldn't get to the hospital. She was in the car for 6 hours. She's now paralyzed. That is you cannot argue that that is not a direct result of your process. How can you possibly justify putting a woman in hospital who cannot speak and not move because she couldn't get to hospital in time because of what you were doing? What would you say to the son if he was...
Right, so I'm not gonna... We won't watch you talk about that on there because they don't give you a chance to. We'll watch one more clip. I'm just giving you a little bit of context what Insulate Britain, what happened and how the media dealt with it and that, and then we'll get talking to Liam. This is only 2 minutes. This is from reliable legacy media, The Sun. Hang on, let's make sure we've got audio. Sorry, people.
My son is 11, he needs to get to school today. So move out of the way and let me get my son to school. I'm trying to bring it. I'm touching right now. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Liam, I think it's fair to say Insulate Britain didn't really get the public on side.
Yeah, that's well. I think, like consequently, I think there's been more support for the proposals for what we were calling for. I think the policy.
All right,
that we
well,
were
let's start there.
not the actions. Yeah, that's correct.
Let's give you a platform where you can talk. What were you or are you? What do you want? You've got all the time in the world to explain what you're fighting for.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll probably I mean, if you want me to explain it properly, it's probably going to take about 10 minutes, right? So, and it's
go
like
on, try and do it in 5.
All right, okay. So basically, where we're at is that so for about 10,000 years, right, the carbon in the atmosphere was around 280 parts per million. In the last sort of 250 years, it's been steadily increasing to a rate that hasn't been seen in the time that Homo sapiens have been alive, right? So what the carbon parts per million was for a long time was 280 or around that. So since the Industrial Revolution, it's been steadily increasing to the extent that it's now about 418 to 420 parts per million, right? Depending where you are, where you're getting the measurements from. And that rate is an incredibly steep one if you look at it on a graph to anything that's been seen before. So, and what we've seen in the time that that carbon has increased in the atmosphere is an average global temperature increase of around 1.2 degrees. That's what we've seen. And what you see when you see when the average temperature increases by that much is you see an increase in extreme weather events, and you also see an increase in the intensity of those weather events. And what the consequence of that has been is that we've seen around a 70% loss in the Arctic ice. Measurements from the Arctic, we've seen a real decrease in ice in the Arctic. And now the Antarctic kind of like, they didn't really know how to explain it, but now it didn't decrease in the Antarctic in the southern hemisphere, but we're starting to see quite sudden decreases in ice in the Antarctic in the southern hemisphere as well. And so ultimately, where we're at is that weather events are starting to affect water and food, the ability for certain countries, especially in like the equator. So these are the areas in the world where we're starting to see extreme weather affect people in the sort of like equator regions, their ability to grow food. So we've got in the Horn of Africa at the moment, we've got millions of people that famine basically.
All right, Liam. So, okay, just to summarise, so that's the problems,
Yeah.
and I think we're aware, whether we agree or not, we're aware of people talking about those things. So, your mission, your not
yeah.
your
So if we go on to the so if we go on to the UK then, so in terms of the UK's emissions, heating the home accounts for around 15% of the UK's emissions, right? So, and what we're saying is that by properly insulating a national program of home insulation and retrofit. So at the moment, Chris, they're still building houses with fucking gas boilers, right? Now, we were saying this last year, like a continual dependence on something that is eventually going to run out is completely insane. That was what we were saying, and obviously we weren't aware at the time that there was going to be the war in Ukraine and gas prices were going to rise. We didn't kind of know all that stuff, but we knew that it was on the horizon in one shape or form. So what we were saying was, what we need to do is properly build houses that are properly insulated, which there's a scandal, you know, thousands, tens of thousands of homes in the UK at the moment are being built, and they put like smoke machines in them, and you can just see at night all the fucking smoke being released, you know, escaping from houses where they're not being it's corruption basically, just fucking housing companies building stuff on the cheap and not doing stuff properly.
Yeah.
So, but what we're saying is that this is obviously the case throughout I think there's around 28 to 29 million properties or houses in the UK, and it's a problem, and we need to face up to it. And there needs a national program of insulation and retrofit in order to remove gas and also make them more energy efficient. Because there's millions of people in the UK at the moment who are living in fuel poverty, can't heat their houses, thousands of elderly that are dying each year because they can't afford to keep their houses warm. So, so basically what we were saying was that this was a good idea, whether you believe in climate change or not, right? This was a good idea anyway, because gas is obviously like a problem anyway in the long term. It's going to run out at some point, so it needs to be done. And it's going to be a win-win for society, and it's going to be a start to the process of decarbonisation.
Now, a couple of things. People sending super chats with questions. I will put them to Liam, but rather than keep interrupting him with questions from here and here, I'll give them to Liam at the end. So we'll have like a little question and answer bit. But they're all in entropy, even when you super chat them, so they won't get lost. So I agree that we should probably insulate our houses if we're, I know what that sort of stuff's like. I know about building companies doing everything on the cheap and making very shoddy, huge housing estates that will fall apart probably before even the roofs fall in. But I think what my first point would be is insulating in terms of the bigger picture of potential man-made climate change and potential, implications like the things you talked about, intensity of, bizarre freak weather systems and people not being able to grow food and agriculture failures. Is insulating somewhere like Britain going to compete in any way with the kind of stuff in industry that the likes of China and India are getting on with? It seems like I just feel like it's a drop in the ocean compared with the carbon they're pumping into the air and they've got no intention to do anything about. And we're just getting taxed on it. Now, admittedly, they could do it for free, but nothing's free. We'll be paying taxes to get those to get our lofts insulated. Would insulating every house in Britain cut into this in a significant or worthwhile way compared with like India's and China's industrial production?
Yeah, so I agree with you that China and India is a problem. And I'll be honest, I don't necessarily know what the answer to that is. I think that is a problem for India's citizens and Chinese citizens. But I'll go on to talk a little bit more about that as well. But what I also think is that we're seeing at the moment, like Liz Truss is about to, or she has announced a plan to. So let's talk about. I also think it's really interesting when you talk about like money and stuff, and you talk about, well, money comes from work, right? But that's not actually true, is it? Because money is created by the central banks out of thin air. It's created out of thin air. So at the moment, Liz Truss has announced a plan to borrow £100 billion in order to give it to citizens to subsidise their energy bills. And where that money is going to go to is to corporations, to gas and oil and energy corporations, right? So that money is, as soon as the government have borrowed it from the Bank of England, which they've created out of thin air, then the government will give it to citizens, and then citizens will have to give it to energy companies. So it's a transfer of wealth created out of thin air, given directly to corporations, right?
Well, not directly. You just explained that indirectly. To
indirectly. Sorry, yeah. So that's what's about to happen, right? So what we're saying is that it's a better idea to actually, instead of making ordinary people pay for that money and pay energy companies, it's a better idea to actually insulate their homes and decrease their energy use. That would be a better idea. But what they're actually doing is saying, actually, we don't give a fuck how much energy you use. We want to fucking pull all that gas out and we want to charge you for it, right? So
I agree with you. I think that's exactly what they're doing. And I agree with you that the problem with insulating homes is no one makes any money out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So and this is where we're at, right? So and in terms of like China and India, I've seen in China over the past few months, we've seen the absolute worst, one of the worst heat waves in recorded history in China. And like for the past few years, they've been getting the worst floods. And I don't know if you saw in Pakistan a few weeks ago, the floods that have occurred in Pakistan. I mean, 30 million people affected, so obviously the people in these countries, they're not stupid. They fucking know what's going on. They know what it's like when they look out the window and they can see what's going on, right? They know.
Has there not always been freak weather, though? Is that not?
Yeah, of course there has. But that's the point that I'm making, is that there has been freak weather, but what we're seeing now is an increase in the frequency and the intensity of those weather events. And I'm not here to sort of like convince you or the people watching this stream whether that's the case. I'm not really bothered. But like that's what we're seeing, right? And what I put to you and to the people watching is, over the next 5 years, you will see this continue, right? And you will see it increasing because they're not doing anything about it, right? So that's the argument, is that I've kind of lost the willingness to like convince anybody whether what I'm saying is
it's
true
a
or
very
not.
difficult thing to do, you know. But I think you've done it. You've made a really good. That's a good opening statement. I want to put something to the chat. One in the chat, if you think that it would be good if Britain insulated their homes. It's a bit of a silly question because I know there's more to it, but would you think that was a good thing? Less energy used. I mean, we've talked on this channel about the potential for a lot more people to die this winter because they outright can't afford to heat their homes. You know, we've had people in this chat talking about their energy bills quadrupling.
Yeah.
You know, and that my mother, you know, she has a hot water bottle and like she's like an old Russian babushka with 4 or 5 coats on.
Yeah. And like arguably maybe, you know, like it's actually, you know, I think it's a really difficult subject because I think in some ways it's good that we actually start to respect our energy in a way. Do you know what I mean? So like if it's cold, we only have to actually heat one room, you know, and we start to consider, you know, what we're heating up and why we're doing it. We don't need to heat up 8 rooms if we're only in one, for instance. Do you see what I mean?
I'll tell you what, Liam, I used to be, I mean, this is not my area at all. I haven't really paid much attention to it. It's only when I see the likes of your lot and other lots on the news. But I've never felt comfortable sitting outside the Ivy with
with the
exterior heaters.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's just, you can't heat the outside.
Yeah,
that's the earth. What? I mean,
put a fucking coat on, innit? You know what I mean? Like, and then
it's
go
really
back inside.
weird. And they kind of don't work unless you're like 6 inches away from them. You sort of have to like, you know, and it's all smokers anyway. So fuck them. Look at you still on the old snout. Okay, so
you're smoking in all but name, mate. With that fucking.
There's no nicotine in my vape.
Oh, really?
Keep it coming, son. You won't win on my manor. Right, so excuse me, let me just mute it while I burp. Right, Liam, what do you think about nuclear energy?
I feel like I'm not an expert, so but I think like the energy, all kinds of different energy, not just like in terms of carbon, of setting up nuclear plants, they're so intensive. Do you know what I mean? You know, like they're doing one in the west of England at the moment near the Severn. I can't remember if it's Sizewell or what. I can't remember what it's called. But you know, they've been building it for the last 5 years. It's probably going to take another 5 years. It's costing billions and billions to set up. And you know, like I just think it's probably more effective to put. And I know they're controversial in their own way because like wind, they kind of like blight the landscape. And look, there's loads of difficult decisions to make in terms of where we go to solve this problem. And the other thing is that if society does collapse, right, which if we keep going in the direction we are, my belief is that it will collapse. Like, who's going to run these fucking nuclear plants, you know? And do we have a responsibility to bequeath this place that we've lived for the last 300,000 years? Do we have a responsibility to not leave it in a complete shit state to potentially fuck the whole world? I don't really know. I think we need to. I think that like some kind of democratic process where we have. So what I think is a big problem is like arguing on like polarization on the internet, like Twitter. Like everybody is just fucking slagging everybody off on the internet. And I think like that's why I think like conversations like this are good. You know, like I know you, Chris, and you're surrounded, and I know like a lot of your viewers, like you say, are necessarily not going to agree with me. I saw somebody call me a bellend or whatever, but I think like these kind of conversations where we break through those like sound bites, like in 140 characters, where it's really easy to like facelessly slag each other off, is a big problem in our society. And I think like public debate where we actually acknowledge, look, I don't know all the answers, but we need to kind of work it out together. So yeah, so I haven't got the answers, mate, on nuclear.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I think when you said that your mission was to insulate homes, you didn't say your mission was to sort out the energy crisis and suggest what's the best way. I can't be doing all those fucking windmills though. I've looked into that and that's just ridiculous.
But they provide a lot of energy in the UK and Ireland, aren't they?
Yeah, but nuclear, come on, it works a treat. And look, I don't like this rape of the earth idea. You know, we're here, it's our habitat. You have to use your resources.
Yeah, I agree. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so, but like in terms of like how much energy you have to put in to creating a nuclear power plant to what you get out of it, like I think we need a proper discussion on that. Like in a
they're incredibly efficient. Come on.
Once they're set up.
Yeah, but you know, and so that might take 10 years, but that's not a long time, really. That's not even that's like a fifth of a generation. But okay, but when neither of us are experts on nuclear energy, so we won't go down that route. Let's have a little discussion about the tactics, because everyone in this chat, I know most of them from streaming regularly. You know, we've got a lot of problems with society. We want a lot of people to make a lot of changes, and the phrases that get chucked out a lot is people need to wake up, and then the other one is.
Do you mean about the climate? You mean?
No, well, about a multitude of things.
Okay, right, yeah.
You know, whether it be, we don't really talk about climate here, to be honest with you. It doesn't come up a lot. Manny Moo.
Oh, you're talking about specifically on this channel. You're talking about.
Yeah, right here.
Right, yeah.
But people need to wake up. But also, I think even when people have woken up, then it's getting them to do something.
Yeah.
And you know, there are certain sort of organisations that share. You know, we even in this stream we don't have the same politics, but we overlap quite a lot.
But that's the same in every walk of life, isn't it?
Yeah,
everything overlaps. I saw you like say it was on something about 5 years ago, and you said that like the left and the right is actually a poor use of terminology in terms of where we need to get to as a society, because you know, like there's you kind of have to like in the debate now you have to fucking plant your fucking flag, and you can't diverge from that. You know, like once you're on this, you can't then say, oh, but actually these people here have got a point or two that I might agree with. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's the key, is that we need to just start talking to people that we disagree with in a more civilized manner.
I definitely agree with that, and you know, I think right-wing people are censored on all social media, so that's not even an option. But let's talk about your tactics then. Let's talk about sitting in the street. And did you think that worked?
Well, Insulate Britain as a campaign group in about 3 weeks got around 80% public recognition. So non-governmental organisations would fucking cream in their pants if they were a startup and they wanted to get 80% of the country to know who they were. So
it's a marketing success without a doubt.
Yeah. But, so in that sense, yeah.
So in terms of brand recognition, I know it's not a corporation, but you understand what I mean by brand recognition.
Well, it is a brand. We put a logo on it, didn't we?
There you go. But when I think of, maybe we could call them your stable buddies, Extinction Rebellion. When I saw them dragging that fella off the top of that train and kicking the shit out of him, I thought, well, everyone knows who Extinction Rebellion is now, but no one wants to know them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when Ratner, do you remember Ratner's in the 80s? They used to sell junk jewelry, and it was at the annual investors ball, and he said, we've had a last quarter of 20 bill or something. He went selling, I think he said crap or junk, and it got out and the stocks just went and I think that was the end of Ratner's. So
what were Ratner's, Chris? I don't know what they were.
Just a high street shop selling plastic jewelry.
Right, okay.
The point is, this myth that all publicity is good publicity that doesn't actually work out.
No.
And when people have got very complex and demanding lives where they've got to get up, they've got to drive the kids to school, they've got to get home, they can't afford to pay the bills, they've got red letters coming through the door, they've got an autistic kid the government's just put on Ritalin, they got a teenage son who's a smackhead. It's just modern life.
Yeah.
And then you've got these cunts, and I'm using that in a sort of a nice way, these cunts sitting in the road, making it harder for you, talking about things that to a lot of people are just so that, I can't even afford to buy my kid new trousers for school. And you're asking me to think about people in Africa not being able to grow corn. I don't give a shit. No, I'm not saying I don't give a shit, but I'm just saying I can understand in the complex lives we've got why people are just a bit like, I'm not interested.
Yeah. So
and hang on. There's a bit more to it. I'm not just saying that. So yes, 80% is an incredible. I'm in marketing. I'd love to have that 80% coverage from like a couple of days out, but they're not going to want to consume the product. Did you see people signing up to your organisation in a big way?
No. So there's a couple of strands to that. So I think you're right in terms of people have got busy lives and they're trying to live day to day. Okay. And I completely understand that. I'm one of those people. I'm a Sparks. I've worked on building sites, I understand that life is fucking hard work, So I think what it is that you're talking about has to have, and I know the people watching this are going to maybe slate me for this, but
they're actually coming round to you. I think that I said to him, you're a good bloke. I don't think that's the issue.
So what I think it has to have attached to it is it has to have truth attached to it, right? And some people might deny, debate that truth, but like the people that are doing it have to believe that it's true. And if we were sitting in the road so that everybody in the UK had to be given red hats, obviously that would be a load of nonsense. But what it is that we're, and this is the problem with climate change, is that it takes, it's like a Titanic ship, right? So, when you notice the iceberg, if you notice it too late, it don't fucking matter, right? You can't turn that fucking thing around because it's too late. So that's kind of like the analogy for climate change. So what we are saying is that the reason why we are sitting in the road and disrupting ordinary people's lives is because they have a stake, and they have what we are talking about has a consequence for them. Now I know people will argue with that, but that's what the physics is saying to us. The reality. I'm not going to talk about scientists because I think it's a load of bollocks.
No, I think
it's talking about the reality of the situation that we face as a society.
I mean, look.
Let me, Chris, one sec. So,
Go
so
for it.
what we do, we sit in the road, right? We understand that we disrupt people. We don't, we're not threatening in any way. Obviously, we were the ones being dragged off the road. We were the ones being arrested, and we were the ones being sent to prison. Now, what we were trying to do in Insulate Britain is get enough people actually sent to prison so that it would create this national conversation around why is it that, like, we didn't achieve it, we kind of failed in that respect. But what the idea of what the theory is that you get enough people, you force the state. What you do is you put the state into a dilemma. Now, what the state did in Insulate Britain is they retreated. They understood that what we were trying to do is get ourselves put into prison, and they sort of sussed it out, right? So they said,
you
that's
think
my
I'm saying
belief, yeah.
not, like
Yeah,
you saw,
we were
you
talking
saw that
about
play
it
out.
before. We were talking about it. You know, the 100 people or so that signed up to Insulate Britain, the idea was that you sat in the road 3 times, and by that time the authorities would get pissed off with you and they would throw you in prison. Because what we were going to say to them is, like, they weren't actually interviewing us, but what we were going to do is in interview say, if you release me from this police station, I am going to go and do this again. And so and if you do that in court, like we've just had it with Just Stop Oil, people got taken to court, 50 of them, and they were in court saying, if you release me from this court, I am going to go back and do exactly what I've just done. So then the authorities are kind of like forced to put you in prison. But to them, it's a dilemma, because what it does, if you throw hundreds and hundreds of people into prison, that it's a lose-lose situation for them. If they let you go, they get more disruption and more publicity. And if they throw you in prison, they get publicity, because then it starts this conversation off in the country. Is like, you know, lots of people obviously go, oh, fuck them, like, throw them in prison, who gives a fuck? But there will be a large section of the population who go, hang on a minute, like, where these people are like peaceful, all right, they're being disruptive, but you're throwing them in prison for months. And what that does is it creates political pressure. So this is a question of power and politics, right? And obviously, as a citizen, you don't have much power against the state. But what this does is when you become a collective and you decide to do something collectively, what it does is it puts political pressure, you know, and we didn't achieve that, right? We failed. But that was the theory, and that's the continual theory, is that you force the authorities to imprison you. And we've seen, you know, there's been lots of examples in the past where hundreds, thousands of people have been put into prison. Non-violent protesters have been put into prison in Western democracies, and it creates this problem for society, because they have to question, why is it that you're having to imprison these people? And what we were talking about in our demand was something that we believe, and I'd still argue is the case, is something that would have benefited every single person in this country, and it would have paid for itself, right? The proposal that we were making made sense. And what the government are doing now, like with the subsidies to energy companies, is mad. And it's like, it's a fucking scam, ultimately. That's what's going on in the UK at the moment. So, you know, so we're forcing this question to society, I think, as well as the government.
There's definitely parallels, because I think one of the main concerns people watching this channel is immigration. And, you know, that we feel that, you know, 20, 30 years, ethnic white people will be a minority, could be a minority in our native homelands. And that's problematic. There's issues with that. And, you know, there's organizations out there trying to tell people that and show them the potential implications, and they do leafleting and they do banner drops, and, you know, they do their things. And, you know, it's kind of interesting that you've taken that angle and that you had that plan. I am getting these donations, and I'm assuming they're questions. I will put them to Liam. So, I mean, what do you think?
So I can answer that.
Go on, it wasn't a question.
Yeah, but I've got a position on your statement.
Go on.
Is that like people don't want to leave where they're from? People like to live. You know, ultimately, if people have a good life where they were born, in the country that they're born, then ultimately the majority of those people will stay. The reason people leave is because they're being turned over, right? That's like, and I know we can.
Yeah, but Liam, that you're treading on dodgy ground there, because
I'm not, because like basically what happens is, like, if you look at, like, there's loads of history of so if you look at the IMF, right, and the World Bank and stuff that they've got up to over the years, it's fucking dodgy, mate, right? And that's and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks on here. That's what goes on.
Liam,
they're a racket. They're a racket. That's what happens.
I don't argue that point, but hang on. If you're leaving your country because you've been turned over,
or there's no ability to live.
All right, well, let's assume that then. But why do you get through 5 different countries, like nice places like France or whatever, and go to England?
Maybe they've got family. There's a long history of people coming to this country for all kinds of different reasons.
Yeah, but hang on, no.
When we didn't have bus drivers, we got people from Jamaica to drive buses, right? Because they at the time were useful. And
hang on. No. That's not the same point. You said people leave their countries because they've been turned over. But why do they make why do they come all the way to England and going over the Channel in a dinghy when they could just plot up in France?
Well, because they speak English. Because they speak English, mate.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Well, I'm talking about some of them.
The ones that speak English. They come here for the money, because our government gives it to them. Well, but listen, if we go down there, I haven't got you on to talk about that.
I'm happy to talk about it.
No, don't. Please. Liam, because I can get plenty of people on to talk about that, but I can't get plenty of people on to talk about what you do. So I'd rather.
But like Chris, sorry, mate, you're misunderstanding, because whether you like it or not, what I'm talking about is going to be immigration, because people, what will happen when the global average temperature rises to 2 degrees C?
When will that be?
Well, at the moment, it's looking. It could be 20 years.
But Liam, you say to me you're not a scientist and you're not an expert, but then you do say things like when it goes up 2 degrees.
I'm just looking at what's happened, right? I'm looking at.
But you're looking at what certain scientists have said.
No. This is where you're wrong, Chris. Right? Because
I haven't said anything. Hang on.
Well, but what happens is, but I'm not being allowed to speak at the moment. So what happens over the last 250 years is that the global average temperature has risen by 1.2 degrees. That's been like a trajectory that's gone up. So we can predict with a quite high degree of certainty that rise is going to increase.
But you're not a scientist. How can you predict that with a high degree of
certainty? Because we're not lowering the carbon emissions. When they're not.
You're not an expert on this, are you? You're trusting what other people have said.
I'm trusting what scientists are telling me. Yeah.
Yeah, but other scientists have said other things.
That's bollocks.
No, it is. Oh, so every scientist agrees with this.
Tell me a scientist that believes it, and we'll look into them and who pays for them and who funds them.
Yeah, but clearly we haven't got time. But I can put that question back to you. Are you seriously telling me that every scientist agrees with what you just said?
No, over 90%, I would say.
Yeah, and that I know that over 90% thing, and it was over 90% of the scientists they asked. It wasn't over 90% of scientists. It was over 90% of a group of scientists they asked, and that's why that doesn't stand up for me.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't really give. I'm not interested whether you can look at the scientific data, right? And whether you take a different position on it, that's cool, right? But my position is is that what we will see over the next few decades is more unless we reduce carbon emissions. And the other thing that happens is that there's this thing called tipping points, right? So what we've seen in the Arctic is a loss of around 70%. You can go just put Arctic ice loss into Google, right? And you can see
you trust corporations like Google.
Well, like, yeah, but I'm saying, like, look at the Potsdam Institute or something in Germany. They're like quite a well-respected scientific organization. Look at who Kevin, I can't remember his name now. It's left my head. It's
okay. Look, I understand that a lot of scientists go with this. I'm not going to pretend that isn't happening.
Well, it's like it's not about the future, predicting the future, but let's almost. We can agree on what
we had global cooling in the 70s. That was a big thing, and there was loads of scientists behind that. It happened. That happened.
Yeah,
you can still find the documents. The United States government was talking about global cooling, and they had all these scientists come out, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. And there were organisations like yours, and Extinction Rebellion, or whatever they're called, and then that sort of disappeared. And there's other things alongside that, like the herpes was going to kill everyone, then AIDS was going to kill everyone, neither did, then COVID was going to kill everyone, didn't. So one is in a weird position where you get your information from, you and me, all of us.
Yeah.
And that's and I think it was important and brave of you to say, I'm not an expert on this, I'm not a scientist, but that makes it very difficult to actually assess the information.
Yeah, but you have to do that yourself, don't you? You have to assess the information. I'm only looking at the information that I've looked at, Chris, right? Yeah. And I'm not selecting the information that suits like what I want to hear, right? Which is that everything's going to be sweet and we're going to be okay. The information that I've looked at, and I haven't prepared, like I can send you some links and stuff afterwards, or put them in the chat afterwards, or somehow convey them to people if you want. I haven't really properly prepared, but the information that I've been looking at, and I'm not, like, I know there's all kinds of things saying that Insulate Britain are this like Soros funded. I can assure you, I was in the room when fucking Insulate Britain started up, and we didn't have a pot to piss in.
I was about to say, you don't look like you got a lot of money between you.
And the information that I've looked at and that I've assessed is pretty clear that like things are getting worse progressively. And it kind of goes back to what I said about the Titanic. It's like, it's up to society, I suppose, to sort of like decide for themselves around what it is that they want to do. But for me, it's getting worse.
Now, and I have read scientists that don't agree with this kind of thing, but have suggested longer term, there's definitely an issue here. Now, when you spoke earlier about the government being in cahoots with the energy corporations, and they always have been. They're lobbyists. They fund these parties. They have to play ball. It's the old boys club and all that. But it would make sense to me to go to the core of the issue, and the core of the issue for me, for most of these things, is globalism. That's the problem. The idea of a globalist world as opposed to a nationalist world where nation states have got their own agency, because that's when corporations start losing their power, because corporations by definition are international agencies.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so, I think there is a bit of a crossover in.
Yeah, I was going to just say that, Chris, is that like this is the really interesting thing in terms of, like with the anti-COVID, anti-lockdown kind of movement that sprung up.
Wait, tread carefully. I'm on one strike.
No, I'm not gonna. Well, I'm not part of that anyway. But I think we can talk about it.
Don't worry, I'll mute you if you get too hot.
But like, I think there's an interesting crossover with people on the left as well, or what traditionally you might call with the left. And this is the like really interesting thing, right? Is that I think this is what I was saying before about what we naturally need to do is talk to people that we're being told we should disagree with, and actually talk to them. And like, even if they've got like things that we find disgusting or abhorrent, we have to talk about these things, because ultimately what we're all dealing with as ordinary people is like what you're saying is a question of entrenched power. And that's what corporations and governments have, is they have entrenched power.
Yep, agreed.
That we can all sort of like agree as ordinary people, like aren't necessarily working to the benefit of us.
Not necessarily. Listen, get your questions in, people, because Liam's been listening to me and talking for an hour now, and we'll start the questions in about 5 minutes. I will also ask some not super chatted ones, but if you definitely want a question in, get them super chatted in the next 5 or so minutes. So Liam, where are you at the moment? You know, when I said to you yesterday, because I wanted to sell the stream, obviously, I wanted to put leader, mein Führer of Insulate Britain coming on. And you said, well, you suggested that there's been some complications in the organisation, and you said you'll explain tomorrow. So what is the state of Insulate Britain at the moment? What's going on? Where are you in that?
Yeah, so lots of the people in Insulate Britain are working on the Just Stop Oil stuff. So lots of the people that took part and lots of other people are working on that. To be honest with you,
it kind of broke up. What is that?
Sorry, Just Stop Oil. They're similar to Insulate Britain. They've been blocking oil depots in April earlier this year, and they've got a big campaign starting in October. Which is going to be, I don't know too much about it actually, but it's going to be similar in terms of public disruption and or blocking oil depots.
All right, we're going to have a little look at that right now, just for some context, because I've just got it up. So when you say you don't know a lot about it, is that because you do know a bit about it, but you don't want to give out any trade secrets?
No, it's not actually. It's
you don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about. You know what, Chris? It's a bit unprofessional of me, but I need a wee.
No, that's all right. I do it all the time, mate. Just make sure you drive.
Okay. Stop.
That's all right. No, go on, man. No problem. I think Liam. Well, let's get my big head back on the screen. I think Liam's done all right, actually. You know, I don't think he's made any extravagant claims. VART, and I'll do an ultra VART for all the ones that didn't get heard. I don't know why I love it so much. I think he's given a pretty good account of himself. I mean, I don't buy that night. Vartation has occurred. So close to a double VAR. It's been a while. I will put these questions to him. But remember, I've had a look at some of these questions. He's not a scientist. He said he's not an expert. I mean, let's have a look at this a minute. I mean, I've just noticed there's a countdown here. Oh, it's not a countdown to the end of days. This is Occupy Westminster. I mean, you know, in many ways, this is like RMF. He's a nice bloke. He's a nice bloke. I mean, don't think that we haven't got old friends that think we're nice idiots because of things we think. They blatantly do. Oh, you know, old John, he's all right. You know, he's an idiot, but he's a nice enough bloke. You know, people say that about us. So I thought it was a countdown to the end of days, this thing. Liam?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
Did you just open a can of special brew?
No.
Liam,
Them days are behind me.
we were. I used to have a superintendent for breakfast. Wash those Valium down. Oi, Liam, I started taking Valium out here, right? To try and sleep. You know what it's like when you try and sleep on Valium. You're up all night. And then I went to the pharmacy because out here, 40 10ml blue Vals, $1.
Fucking hell.
And I've gone there one day and said, "Can you do me 40 of the, my usual, please, love?" She said, "Oh, I'm out." Now I could have gone to another pharmacy. I could have gone to another pharmacy just up the road, and she went, "I've got some ampules, diazepam." Yeah, and I just went, "Yeah, you got 100, right?" No, this doesn't go well, unsurprisingly. And then I started jacking these Valiums, and it all went really weird. I got my best mate on. I said to everyone I was going to stream with him. It was going to be a different channel, and when I come out of the haze, I was thinking, I don't want him on here. I don't want what have I done? And then as I sort of explained to everyone, I fucked up a bit. Apologies, because I used to get 300, 400 people watch this channel until this happened. And then someone in the chat said to me, "No, you fell asleep during a stream," and I didn't even remember it. And everyone, of course, happily sent me the link.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awful. Like literally going, with like
bit more shame in there.
Yeah, and then my head went. I just went, dong, gone. And then sort of came up and carried on and done 2 hours. And yeah, anyway, that was. I thought you'd appreciate that after I dug you out for your special brew. What do you think about I can't think of her name, the donkey in Congress in America, AOC? What do you think of the old Green New Deal? Is that something you get behind? Would you get behind that?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
You would all. Yeah.
I'd get in front of her.
Do you know, I mean, I honestly, Chris, I haven't looked into the policy requests of the Green New Deal.
Well, they reckon 12 years and it's over. And that was last year. So they reckon 11 years and we're all dead or something. I mean, it's quite extreme.
there's an argument that it's shorter than that, mate. Some people
and you believe that? You think that, you reckon it's about 5 years, you said?
Well, the problem is, Chris, is that nobody's doing anything about it. In fact, they're making potentially it much worse. Like Liz Truss.
So how's it going to manifest itself? It's going to be flooding. It's going to be people not being able to, farm it. Excuse me again. Is that how it's going to manifest itself? Yeah. This sort of end of days from climate.
Yeah,
it's going to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're not going to be able to grow enough food to feed 8 billion people or however many people.
Is that a population thing, or is that a climate thing, or is it a bit of both, or what?
Well, like the 1% of the richest population emit more than the 50% of the poorest people. So
wouldn't it make more sense to insulate their homes then?
Who, the poorest?
No, the 1% who are using all the energy.
Well, it's not insulating homes.
No, I know. Sorry, it was a cheap dig. All right, before the questions, let's have a little look at this because it does look quite interesting. So this has been set up by a few people. So as Insulate Britain, is that no more?
No, well, kind of. I mean, like, the idea is still there, and there's still people to talk about it. And Insulate Britain are part of this coalition.
I mean, it's a sort of, sorry, I didn't mean to minimise you. It's the sort of thing, you could just make a few phone calls and have another meeting and do another stunt.
Exactly.
You don't have to close doors, do you? Okay.
Yeah. So
this is some of those people, and they're doing an Occupy Westminster in 10 days, 10 and a half days. And here we've got things here. Let's have a look at this one.
I would like to introduce our first speaker.
So this fella reckons we've got 3 years left.
That's David. So David King, the former chief scientific advisor to the British government. He was the Chris, which your viewers will love. He was the Chris Whitty of his day.
Okay. And he reckons we've got 3 years left, and that was made this year. So
yeah, but it's potentially like a problematic term because, like I say, you're talking about turning a huge steamship around. So nobody really knows is the honest answer about how much time we've got left. But yeah, that's his prediction.
And you from the research you've done, if I was to ask you to put a time on it, would you say, do you honestly believe you reckon we've got about 5 years left before it's going to be like end of days sort of Armageddon?
Well, my assessment is that my belief at the moment, and it's kind of, I suppose it's linked to where I'm at with it all, is that basically, Chris, like I've completely, the material aspect of my life, like what I decided when I got involved in sort of like climate activism about in 2018, 2019, is that I had, and I think it's connected to some of the stuff you're talking about in terms of, I mean, I don't know where you stand with all this. Like, I think like individualism is a huge problem in our society. Yeah. I think that
I think the lack of collectivism is the bigger problem.
That's what I'm saying, right? And so from looking at what I looked at, my decision at the time was that I want to do something that when I die, I can feel like I've done something that's important. And I know loads of people probably think I'm a mug or whatever, but that was my belief. And so, I've been arrested 20 times, and at the moment, hang
on, 18 of those were for junk. There's only 2 for
shoplifting me.
You can't call on those numbers now, mate. Sorry, you've been arrested 20 times for your
in the last 3 years. Yeah.
Wow.
And like at the moment, I was in court a few months ago, and I glued myself to the judge's bench. And the police officer that ripped my hand off when I was glued on, she grazed their knuckle. She grazed their knuckle, and she said that I assaulted her.
Yeah.
So they charged me with assault. And basically, I got a letter the other week that was from the court service, and it basically said that the Solicitor General, who was like one below the Attorney General, has said that my case needs to be transferred to the Royal Courts of Justice, which means that there's like a 2-year prison sentence potentially.
Yeah. Cool.
Where when I did it, my understanding was that the maximum prison time they could give me was 28 days. But then they decided to not charge me with contempt. So they basically said, do you want to go to Crown Court or magistrates? And the play is to go with the jury, even though it's going to be potentially more consequential in terms of consequences and prison time and all this. The state's playbook is that you'll always choose the magistrates because it'll be less, but you fucking bluff them and you say, no, I'll take the jury, right? Because then when you like explain the reasons why you've done it, there's good evidence that juries acquit even against the judge's requests.
Okay,
they're guilty. So I chose the jury trial, and then I got this letter saying that they fucking pulled that and they're going to put you in the Royal Courts of Justice, which means that a judge alone will be able to sentence you.
They've done you up like a kipper. So now you're still looking at 2 years, but you don't get the jury.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not laughing at you.
No, it's fine. This is just one. I've got loads of other Crown Court cases, loads of other fucking consequences. I'm scared. I mean, listen, I've given up my career as an electrician. It's pretty much gone to shit. I mean, I can go and get some work, which I'm about to do.
The irony that you work with electricity is just too good to not mention. But you know, the thing is, there's
No,
a
but
lot
what I
of.
was going to say, Chris, just to finish, was
Go
that
on,
like
you're right.
yeah, so that's part of the reason. Like, basically, I'm kind of a bit tired at the moment. I'm not prepared to keep. I'm just like, fuck it, you know. If they send me to prison, so I'm going to go and do it. And I'm skint, so I've got to go and do a bit of work. I've signed up for a university course. My partner's moved to a town, and I just wanted to just do something that wasn't, you know, and being in the public eye is a bit of a head fuck as well.
Liam, this is what I was going to say. There's a lot, you know, even though the causes are different, there are crossovers. But I was in the Times newspaper. They accused me of grooming teenage Nazis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's ridiculous, you know, that just because I'd done a series of videos called Talking with Teens, and out of the 13 kids I talked to, 3 of them talked about nationalism.
Right.
And and that alone, I just thought, no, I can't be doing with this.
I've been, you know, Insulate Britain, and was basically the climate movement has called us fascist. You know, I've been called a fascist because on that interview, because
from other climate activists.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a pariah, yeah, because on that interview I talk about Churchill, didn't I? I don't know if you remember. So Insulate Britain's idea as well was to use, so the red, white, and blue is purposefully done. It's purposefully chosen. It looks exactly like the Conservative Party fucking thing. We use that. It's Sports Direct, isn't it? Like, but like we basically we decided that what we wanted to do was use their own symbols against them, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So the Churchill idea of like, where before war broke out, Churchill was a pariah. He was like completely ostracized by the political establishment because he was.
I think Churchill's probably a pariah in this chat, and maybe that's
So, but basically, because I spoke about that in the interview and other things, the red, white.
So, hang on. So hang on, Liam. So because you alluded to something which the general public would conceive of as somewhat patriotic, the largely, I'm assuming, left-leaning climate activists got a bit funny about that, did they?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's not surprising. You know, in the dissident right, people are always at each other's throats, and you're that. It's one of the most, and it's intentional. I think there's powers that be plant people into organisations.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Just argue amongst yourselves, and
yeah. Because the power is what's important. This is like what I wanted to say as well. It's like that's all bollocks. Like all that stuff, all arguing amongst ourselves, even like the left and the right and all that. Because what they want us to do is argue about bollocks, so that we actually are fucking not looking at what's really going on. Do you know what I mean? So that's
I will agree with that for sure. And I can totally understand that you have had enough for a while. I think that's
I don't
think that
history degree, history and English literature. And I don't know how long it's going to go on for, but I just thought, even if it's only a year or two, I'm not really bothered about the fucking certificate. I just thought I just want to switch my phone off and just read some books and just write some shit and just, you know, so that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
And I think, you know, regardless of what your cause is and what I think about it, I really understand that. You know, there were people in English nationalism, which isn't illegal. You can be a nationalist who are having their bank accounts closed down multiple times. You know, and that's just removing you from the system. If you can't spend money, or if you haven't got a bank account, that's really difficult to live. You know, it's and I just had enough. I made a video saying this isn't a nationalist channel. I just thought, I'm done with that. I've said what I've got to say on that subject, and now I'm going to try and do stuff more about financial independence, looking after yourself.
And I bet people give you stick for that as well, don't they? Like you'll get stick for that.
Oh
like,
yeah, no, I've got loads. Yeah, I've got loads of people. Yeah, and you know, and I got it from living in Cambodia. How can you talk about immigration when you're in Cambodia? And I'm like, well, what the fuck are you doing? All you do is send me videos of me when I used to be a stand-up comedian telling me I fucked a dog because I made a joke about it. Go on, fuck off. Right, so
I loved your stand-up, by the way, when I saw it, when I saw your show.
What one did you come and see? Where was that?
I saw Sex Tourist in Shoreditch.
Oh, up at that place by the river.
No, it was in Shoreditch, wasn't it? It was
Haggerston?
No, it was there was a nice cafe down there.
No, it was by the canal.
No, it weren't. It was, you know when you're going up, you just leave Bishopsgate and you're going up Shoreditch High Street, and then before you get to the lights where Brown's was, you do a left. Rivington Street.
Brown's? Did you ever go in Brown's?
Oh, yeah, I used to work round the corner for it when I was 17. Used to just do all my wages.
Yeah, people, Brown's is a nasty little strip club just there by that big church, innit? You come out of there and you see the face of God going.
I was 17 at the time. I didn't know much better.
You felt like you just had to drop that in then, didn't you? Otherwise, it's going to be in the papers tomorrow.
Yeah, it will.
Liam Norton. Insulate penis, more like.
There's already basic. When I was before I got notoriety, there was I was cycling.
I mean, Liam, I know I will let you say it, but you know, and loads of people must have had this response to you. I just saw it and I thought, hang on, because you used to wear that hat all the time, remember? And so I wasn't quite sure, and I just thought, hang on, and you must have had that off everyone. I bet your phone rang up like it was just all night.
Loads of people were really, really cool. Like loads of people from the meetings and that were like, and I bumped into a fella called Mark from Victoria. I don't know if you remember. Well, there's loads of Marks in there, but a Mark in Camden like a few months ago, and he was like, "Oh, I saw you on the telly," and he was like, "Go on." But I'd like.
Anyone who used to be friends with you get shitty with you?
I think like people that I grew up with, like I've got like about 4 or 5 mates who, you know, like you've got your tight little crew of mates when you're growing up. And like, I think if they didn't know me, they would have called me a cunt or whatever. but because they knew me, they were like, "Oh, it's just Liam, and we have to be like, where his mates." You know what I mean? So, but I think like, actually, there was a good mate of mine who wouldn't speak to me when I bumped into him.
I had a couple of really good mates. It's taken 3 or 4 years to sort of get them back, and it's never been the same. Yeah. But my tight group of mates, they definitely call me a cunt. Okay, so we're going to throw some questions at you. I think some of these are going to be a bit sciencey, but you're an honest bloke. I think you'll answer them. Before we get into the questions, while there's 170 people here, ready, chat, you know what to do.
I've increased the audience, Chris. I've increased the audience.
No, yesterday we had 207, so you've decreased it by...
I was joking, yeah.
I'm happy with that number, but this is my little advert. I'm a writer. Hang on, let me just make Liam very small. How do I do that? What's this one? Oh, no, that ain't it. Hello. I'm a writer. In the description, the top link in the description, Substack. It's totally free. My novel's coming out in November. There's 21 short stories on my Substack. They've had over 10,000 reads now. Loads of very positive comments. If you don't like reading, you're the people I really want to go there because I think you will. I'm not like some, I mean, it's almost illegible. So it would be right up your strata. Autobiographical. They're not like stories of dragons. Lumi's got a Substack for children's stories. I can't stop myself. Lumi's got a Substack if you like fantasy writing. But link in the top of the description. If you put your email in, any new ones I write, you'll get sent straight to your email. and it's totally free. You don't get loads of spam. You just get my new ones, and it's about it'll be one every 2 months moving forward, because I've got to get this novel finished. And that's the end of the advert. Thank you for the
did you read Henry Miller much?
Oh yeah, absolutely love Miller. Well, Tropic of Cancer's amazing. Absolutely.
What's the one in between? So Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, but the one in the middle, Black Spring, is it?
That I didn't read it. I didn't read it.
Oh mate, you've got to read that one. There's a story in that like just takes you to this other place, and when you say your works, or I haven't actually read it, I will get round to it. But
really lazy.
The autobiographical. I mean, you might correct me, but what he did with that genre in terms of talking about himself, but being able to take it to a completely different.
Henry Miller.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And set, in terms of contemporary American literature, just set the scene for your Bukowskis, for your Burroughs, for your Beats, for even Blaise Cendrars, even David Foster Wallace. You don't get all of this lot without Henry Miller. And someone said to me once, "What's Tropic of Cancer about?" Because I was banging on about it when I was reading it, and I went, "Well, nothing. It's not. It's not." And that's what my novel. I can sum up my novel in one line: a man goes to Thailand to get clean.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only story, but it's very much in the tradition of Tropic of Cancer.
So there was somebody in NA, and I liked what he did, but it was very.
No, I know who you're talking about, and it's jank. Too high, too far, too soon, or something. That one.
No, it was. I'm hesitant to say what it was.
But there's two people you're talking about. There's a fella that got a Hollywood movie made over his book.
Yeah, it was a gangster film.
Yeah. I mean,
and what he said was like, "Oh, somebody wants to be a writer," and then his words to me in this restaurant once was, "Yeah, but you need to have had a life where you have something to write about." And I thought that's such an arrogant load of fucking bollocks, because every human being has got the potential, whether they've done nothing, whether they've sat in fucking room and just done, you know what I mean, or just lived a fucking skag life on the street. It's like every human being, every human being has experienced the extremity of life. Do you see what I mean? No matter whether
Liam, we have to kind of close this one because people don't know what we're talking about, and I know why you don't want to mention it, but I know the fella, I know him, I've spoken to him, he's all right, but to come out with that comment and write a movie that's just full of criminal cliches
that you've heard in a meeting, isn't it? You've basically ripped it off
from other people as well.
From other people.
Exactly. I mean, that. I read it before I saw the movie, and I just thought this is gangster novel by numbers.
It's right by numbers, isn't it? It's paint by numbers. It's like having a structure, and
mine ain't got any of that nonsense.
But neither's Miller, is it? Neither's Miller. It's like you learn you learn the structures, and then you fuck them all up. Don't play with it all, and that's what I think.
Well, as I always say about good literature, isn't a passive consumption of someone else's stuff. It's what you leave out that makes it interesting, because the reader then has to put part of their own life into the gaps, so that they can identify what's going on. If you give too much information, it's just like reading a report. What this happened, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. No, leave. It's about what you. Anyway, we can't go down that route. Right, question time. Right, let's start at the top here. Anglo-Saxon said hello, Mucker.
How long have you been going now?
Long time. I need a piss. Hour and 35. So the questions will wrap it up. Planet X. What is the best? This is hilarious. Liam, what's the best insulation for Planet X to use in his house?
Um,
Can you actually answer that? Is there a good one?
it's a complicated question, isn't it? It's like everything, isn't it? It's like there's all kinds of different materials, and apparently like wool and hemp. Hemp's the best one, apparently. Hemp, there you go.
Yeah, interestingly, the hemp industry has just been absolutely throttled for decades, if not centuries, because it threatens so many big textile corporations.
Exactly, yeah. Kingspan and that, they'll fucking murder you if they find out you've got a hemp fucking operation on the go.
Absolutely.
I mean,
right.
Kingspan are cunts. I mean, like that Grenfell. I mean, if you look into what happened at Grenfell, I mean, it's just like corporate corruption on a massive scale, you know. And it.
I mean, I've got mates in the building trade, and they're building houses, and they just say to me, they're just shit. It's like three-ply stairs. So you spill a pint of water on your stairs, it's going to be like that by morning.
Yeah.
And
like, you know, I think build, because you know, builders go to work and they're trying to earn a pound note. I think, you know, I this is something that I wanted to say. I don't know if it's actually connected to the question, so maybe but in World War II, this is an interesting thing that I wanted to say to you actually. In World War II, they moved from 1938 to 1941. The British economy grew by about 22% or something ridiculous. But how it was done was through centralized dictation. So it wasn't like a free market thing that dictated how that economy grew. They basically fucking said to the public, this is what's happening, and this is what the score is. So yeah, I think there's an interesting I don't know whether that's a lesson on, you know, when you talk about communism and stuff, Chris, I don't know what there's good evidence that, like, anyway, like that's just one example where it worked, because people, that's what I'm saying. So basically what everybody was working towards a single goal, and everybody believed it because everybody knew that Hitler was a wrong 'un. So everybody was like working, or the majority were working in the right direction, you know, so they took it. And I think with the building industry, if there was kind of like,
communism's never worked. It's never worked. It's communism.
No, it hasn't. But what I'm saying is centralized economy has worked in Britain in the past during the Second World War.
Did it work for Germany?
What with Nazi Germany? No, I'm not saying it works all the time. I'm just saying that there's an example.
No, that's what I'm saying. But did that example work for Germany, or did they just
decided to fucking like invade countries and murder 6 million people?
What, all the Germans? All the Germans did they?
No, the Nazi regime, yeah. So, the power structure,
you know, that's also debatable. But this is YouTube. You can't go there. Right. Let's get on with the questions. Mousecat says this. Chris, can you ask Liam his links with Extinction Rebellion? Now, I think rather than your links, well, the movement Insulate Britain, that's a bit fairer.
No, you can talk about me. Yeah. Because basically, I have been arrested for Extinction Rebellion before. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the question?
No, there's a few more in there. Can you ask Liam his links with Extinction Rebellion, Antifa, and Black Lives Matter, and how they managed to get UCL Property to organise a massive squat by Old Ford Hackney? The last
UCL, what's UCL? The University College of London, is it UCL?
I think that's what it means. I don't know, but I think the interesting part of that question is, what are your or Insulate Britain's links with those other essentially leftist organisations?
Leftist, I think you're going against your own things that you said in terms of, I think those labels are unhelpful actually, and I think Extinction Rebellion was designed to negate left and right, and it was actually attempting to try and speak to people with conservative values.
Okay, but as a guess, I reckon the majority of people in Insulate Britain come from leftist backgrounds.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
you know, just
but what we were trying to do was speak to conservative. You've said it in yourself, Chris, that conservatism is about conserving, right?
Yeah.
So you don't conserve the nation by destroying it, which my argument is what the current Conservative government are doing.
Yeah, no, they don't count to me. They're centrists.
Yeah.
Oh, but is there any link ups with BLM, Antifa, and the other one you dodged? Is that, do you communicate with those people?
Dodged.
Hang on, what was it? Extinction Rebellion, Antifa, and BLM. I need a piss. You can answer it without me. I can still hear you, but I'm going to have a wee. But I can still hear you.
I'll answer
or you can wait till I get back. It's up to you.
No, I'll answer it. It's fine.
I'll be driving.
My involvement with Extinction Rebellion was so back in 2018, Extinction Rebellion blocked 5 bridges in November of 2018, and basically on the in the paper there was a public letter, and it was signed by 100 academics and religious leaders. And basically what they were saying was that it was now morally legitimate to go and get arrested to resist the inaction by our government on climate change, basically. And, you know, I didn't know, I kind of knew climate change was a thing, but like I was going to work, I was flying to India. Do you know what I mean? I was just sort of like living my life and getting on with stuff, really. But this letter pricked up my interest in the paper because it was signed by the former Archbishop of Canterbury. And I just thought, wow, that's a bit like, did he just wipe his old boy there when he come out of the toilet? I don't know. Can we rewind that? Can somebody rewind that and see if he wiped his old boy when he came out of the toilet?
No, I just a bit of that. Liam, right, you're going all over the place. Was your organisation associated with Antifa?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about me. Like, what's my involvement?
Go for it, but speed it up a bit.
So, yeah. So basically, I just saw it in the paper. He's fucking stopped me flow now. Anyway, they were blocking 5 bridges because the Archbishop of Canterbury had signed this letter, and I was like, oh. So I basically went to the bridge block, but they were all, to my mind, they were all like fucking hippies and weirdos, and I was like, oh right, I don't really feel connected to these people. So I was like, I went home and just like carried on with my life. I went to India and spent like
where there's no hippies or weirdos, no?
Yeah, so and then in February, my mate Kenny, you might have met Kenny back in the day, Chris.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. He's a paddy, isn't he?
No, he weren't actually. He was he used to he spent a lot of time in prison, in and out of prison. He was like a fairly mid-level, you know, he used to do bits and bobs anyway. And I knew him, and he was a mate of mine. I forget that this is going out publicly. I've just
like, be careful with people,
But he basically had a child about a year before. This is in February 2019. And he started saying, no, he obviously started to become concerned with climate change. Now, my mate Kenny is from Enfield. Like,
where's Antifa and BLM? Come on, man. Kenny's baby.
Fuck. Look, you want to talk about what my involvement in Extinction Rebellion is?
No, I want to talk about the links between Extinction Rebellion, Antifa, and BLM.
Yeah, they're Chris, that's like bollocks that people write online.
No, I don't know. This was a question that someone asked. So you do.
It's about my involvement. I think if you read the question back, it was about my involvement in Extinction Rebellion. So I'm
No,
talking about.
can you ask Liam his links with
Yeah,
Extinction
his
Rebellion?
links. His links.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm telling you how I got involved with Extinction Rebellion.
But I think the more interesting bit is, actually, no, hang on. This is a fair point. Mousecat, can you confirm what you want to know? But you're right, actually, Liam. I think I might have, people saying Liam's avoiding the question. I think I've read it wrong. Can you ask Liam his links to Extinction? Yeah, I'm
talking about my links to Extinction Rebellion, how I got involved with it.
Apologies, I managed to read it as in what were the links between the three groups, and that's not what he asked.
Yeah.
So, okay, so continue. Fair point. Apologies.
That's all right. I'm just telling, because I thought somebody might have seen my interviews for Extinction Rebellion and go, oh, what's the links between you and Extinction Rebellion? So that's the question that I'm answering. It's nearly done anyway. So my mate Kenny was talking about, he'd had a daughter. He'd started to look into climate change. He was worried about the future for his daughter. And he was like, oh, have you seen this Extinction Rebellion mob? That was his words. Because he's like, he's a proper bloke, right? He's my mate. And I went, yeah, I've heard of them. He went, what do you make of them? And I went, well, I think they've got a point. Do you know what I mean? But other than that, I don't know. And then my mum, funnily enough, said that she'd gone to a meeting of Extinction Rebellion. So, and then at the time, this was in February 2019, they were doing public talks, Extinction Rebellion. And I went to one in Elephant and Castle. And basically they do this talk where they talk about the climate science and they talk about what we could do about it. And that's what I was saying before, when I made the decision to get involved and get arrested and risk prison, I thought, yeah, okay, like I'm in, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, that's that. So, and then basically the pandemic happened, and obviously it made it really difficult to sort of organize anything. And when we were coming out of that in 2021, some of us had a meeting, and that's basically when Insulate Britain was created.
Oh, okay. So, okay, interesting. Any links with Antifa or BLM?
Well, what is Antifa? I'd ask him, what do you think that is? Because in my mind, it's kind of like been made into this internet group that somehow have this cohesion and communication. And my assessment of that is complete bollocks. Basically, what you've got.
Do they not all turn up at the same place at the same time?
Some of them do.
Wearing balaclavas and
I would say, yeah, I'd say that. Yeah,
and you can't do that without organisation, can you?
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is that I reckon it's really decentralised. I don't think there's the Antifa boss telling all those people when to do stuff and when to not.
I think there is, because that's just a dream. So say you've got 30 people who all arrived at a protest and they're all black bloc, right?
Yeah.
Unless someone said we're going to meet at this time on this day, they're not. It's not scanners. They don't.
Yeah, of course, Chris. No, of course that's true. But what I'm saying is that might happen in 10 different locations in 10 different places. Do you see what I mean? And those 10 different groups.
But they have been funded by George Soros. That's out in the open.
I don't fucking know, but.
Okay,
but all I know is like when the pandemic was on, I went to a Black Lives Matter. So I have gone to. I'm in
You're
agreement.
making a bifter, aren't you?
No, I don't puff, mate.
What's that as a grinder? 100%.
Mate, I'd say to you, I'm not a liar. Look, it's a backing. If I was spliffing, I'd tell you.
I can't believe he said no, and I was got a bag of weed.
What, fucking backy?
So it's the quality of your camera.
So I have been like, I've attended Black Lives Matter protests because I was at the Chris Cabba one last week because there was a guy and I'm basically didn't have a gun in his car and the police shot him dead. Now, I know that there's been things.
Subsidising the exploding birth rates of the third world to reduce carbon emissions?
Yeah, so I think I said that earlier, that
It's a good question, really good question.
The Western, if you look at the Western countries who are predominantly the most wealthy, they emit a far higher proportion of carbon than a poor person in India or China. So, like somebody like me who's poor in London emits far more than a poor person in India or China.
But aren't there more of those poor people? So, you know, the
but
numbers...
like so what are they responsible for existing in a place where there's more of them? That's a nonsense position. We are all, as a global society, we are all responsible for what we are and where we exist. And my argument is that for me, living in a Western, my life's pretty cushy. Even when I'm poor, my life's pretty cushy compared to somebody who's living in poverty in Bangladesh, for example, where 400,000 people lose where they can live because Bangladesh is such a low-lying country, and where the floods and the sea levels are increasing, it's just forcing people that are poor to live in slums.
Isn't it amazing that our forefathers done so well with their lives that they provided a great life for us in England?
Is that a question from someone?
No, I'm just suggesting that's what a good thing.
100%. And my position is that what we are currently doing as a society in the UK and America, let's just say, two countries that many millions died, or hundreds of. How many died in? Did millions die in World War II for the UK? I should imagine it was nearing a million, and the same in America. I think for us to be able to throw it down the toilet and ruin our civilizations is actually one of the worst things we could do to their memory.
Those questions are coming through.
One other thing as well is that, like, I think that the working class in the UK were, if you look at the mills in Victorian England, for example, and the working practices that the working class were forced to endure in the mills in various parts of the UK was abhorrent.
Yeah, but Liam, I agree with you, but it was so long ago that doesn't affect us.
Yeah, well, I think it's incredibly arrogant and also ignorant to suggest that what happened in our nation's past does not affect our future and our present.
No, I wouldn't. I haven't said that at all. I wouldn't. Of course, it obviously does, because nothing else can.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. But do you think that the West should stop subsidising the exploding birth rates of third world countries?
I don't think that is actually happening.
Fair answer. I don't know enough about that, so fair enough. It's okay to be a nationalist. Hello, love. Thanks for the donation. If the Green Party supported lowering carbon footprints, why would they advocate for open border immigration, which brings in more carbon footprints? So I think the question, you understand that question?
Yeah, I understand the question. Yeah. So I think, like, as I said before, I think like rich countries have a bigger carbon. I don't like the word carbon footprint because it was created.
Hang on, what, do you think England has a bigger carbon footprint than India?
Historically, I would suggest that.
Yeah, but that's not today, is it?
You do keep interrupting me, Chris, if I may.
Yeah, because that's ridiculous to suggest England. Has England really got a bigger carbon footprint than India? India's got.
No, but if you take per, so England has a population of, let's say the UK, because it's simpler, 70 million people. If you look at what we emit per person compared to India, it's much higher proportion compared to the ordinary Indian citizen.
Fair point. That is a fair point. Okay, Paxmax. Hello, mate. Didn't know you were here. Nice one for that 10-bit. Paxmax says this: Liam, without
Liam,
more
my name's never been said so much. Liam.
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 Nice though. I think it shows respect. Liam, without more nuclear power or big gas burning stations, the electrical grid will not work at all because it will be unstable and require a much different, more expensive power grid. If wind stroke solar stroke wave will pay for the grid updates, the renewable economics will crash and burn versus nuclear. He's a very clever bloke, is our Pax Max. I mean, do you go for all that wind and wave and solar? I thought making solar panels cost low had a massive carbon emission.
Yeah,
problem.
I mean, like I kind of I don't know the numbers, but I kind of looked into it a bit, and I think it's a real head fuck in terms of what we need to do globally in order to decarbonize. And in our current system is basically driven by oil and gas. So, and the products that we use are driven by oil and gas. So solar panels, I think if you look into it, you know, in the plastic and the other things that you need in order to create solar panels and wind turbines and all these kinds of things, in our current system, they are going to use a lot of carbon in order to create, drive, and power how we live. So I think yeah, it's definitely a problem, and I agree with people in their assessment that the jury's out on how we manage to maintain our industrial society and at the same time decarbonize. I think I think so I think, like, you know, like there's people in the climate movement that I know and respect that are supporters of nuclear, and they get made into pariahs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They get like like it's a taboo. You can't support nuclear because you're a fucking fascist or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And I think my honest answer is that I don't know, but all I know is that we are at 420 parts per million in carbon. It's gone up from 280, and if we keep increasing it, we're going to have societal collapse. And what societal collapse means is that people can't eat, right? And that creates disorder in our society and in our world. So it's a problem that we all need to work out collectively.
I think, in fairness, at the beginning of this conversation, you did say you weren't a scientist or an expert on that sort of thing, and you did make a very good point about that. We do. I agree that we should be a little bit more aware of the, you know, the ridiculous waste of energy. You know, I think it's spoiled to an extent. It's like we can just, it doesn't matter, fuck it. You know, even if there won't be global implications, why just be so wasteful?
Well, waste is a bad thing, isn't it? You know it. You know, when you buy a meal and you waste it, it's like, you don't feel great, do you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and the only people who benefit from us being like that is the corporations who are taking the money off us for it.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris? And I'd be interested to know what the people watching, you know, like, because the Indian farmers' protest was a response to globalized corporation attempts to basically take control of farming in India. You know, Bill Gates is like he's what do you call it? You know, when you
he's monopolizing land ownership.
Monopolizing land ownership, and the farmers in India obviously responded to that, right? So yeah, I think it's another really, you know, but again, food growing without fertilizers and pesticides is, again, it's another problem that we have to face as people and as a society. And And it was really interesting. Like India stopped wheat exports. Did you see that? They basically banned, because there was the war in Ukraine. You know, there was all that wheat that was stored in that silo in Ukraine.
Well, Ukraine's just a big farm, basically.
Well, yeah, it farms, provides 12% of the world's wheat. So when that was kicking off, India, because they've had bad harvests due to climate change, because of like intense heat that fucks up all the crops, their yields went down. You can look this up. This isn't like a conspiracy.
No, this rings a bell.
You know, this isn't a conspiracy. This is like pretty factual. You can look it up. And so basically India stopped exporting their food because they know that if their people are starving, it creates really extreme civil unrest. And that's the ultimate consequence of climate change.
Well, this is one of the big problems with immigration. You know, that people say there's plenty of room in England. Well, there might be plenty of room for houses, but then you've got to have the agriculture to feed those people, and that is huge amounts of land.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I'm saying, is that like we believe that carbon is an externality. Like the global economy treats carbon as if it's an do you know what externalities are?
I don't understand in this context, no.
So externalities are in economics, that something as a consequence of something that you're making or doing that could be potentially priced or not priced, right? But carbon is treated in the global economy as an externality that is cheap or free. So basically that goes off into the atmosphere. So the UK over the last however many 100 years has been producing this carbon, but that has a global effect, right? So to these poor people in India or Pakistan or wherever in Africa, that has a consequence for them. So it's wrong to suggest that immigration isn't our fault, because it is. Because do you see what I mean? Well, it is in the sense of like we've got a part to play in it in terms of the carbon that we've been emitting, and that has a consequence for poor people around the world. And,
yeah, but hang on, whoa,
that forces them to move.
But they're not coming from those places. They don't tend to come from that. They're like Albanians, aren't they?
Well, Albania is traditionally a very poor country as well. For all
but we didn't make them poor. We didn't make them poor.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing up Albania as like
because it's just because all that news has just come out about the huge percentage of all these hotels we're filling up and paying for on the taxpayers' purse are from Albania.
Well, I suppose a percentage of them are, and I know for a fact that lots of the prisons do have Albanian criminals. I've known that for decades. You know, I've had pals that are in prison and Albanians are in there. Do you know what I mean? Because they're smuggling cocaine or whatever. That's obviously going on.
Do you remember when all that Syrian heroin arrived on the streets on the back of the Syrian migrant crisis?
Yeah, well, they're trying to make a few quid and survive, aren't they? They're same as us. Yeah, but if they need to survive, they will do what they need to do.
But why can't they build their countries up like we did?
Well, there's all kinds of reasons. One of the reasons for the Middle East insecurity is obviously because Britain went in there and raided all their oil and gas. But if you look at the history in Iran, we took loads of Iranian oil. I mean, Iranian oil powered the Second World War.
hang on, whoa. Yeah, but if you go back a bit further
But I thought you said that the past doesn't matter.
I never said the past didn't matter. No. What I said was I don't understand why slavery from 200 years ago affects the criminal behavior of someone today. But what I'm saying is that the criminal behaviour from the UK back in the day is affecting what is happening now. So the past matters, Chris, right? That's what I'm saying. And it's incredibly complex as to the reasons why
all kinds of different nationalities are moving to the UK, and some of them might be that.
And the Ottoman Empire have got nothing to do with this.
Of course they have.
So
That's what I'm saying. It's a complex
why aren't these people flooding Islamic nations?
Well, Turkish have been moving here for fucking years. Like, if you look in Germany, after the Second World War, like 4 million Turks moved to Germany.
Yeah, it's gone well as well. It's worked out well for them. They get on really well out there.
Well, yeah. but that's what. But it can look, Chris.
Hang on.
I don't understand. I've got some of my best memories in the UK, in London, are with West Indian immigrants or the second generation West Indian.
Well, in that case, fuck it. Let's just have a fully multicultural society. And
why not?
Because it doesn't work, Liam. It doesn't work,
mate, right? Because the thing is like you're saying
everyone suffers.
Now you're saying it doesn't work, but there's definite historical arguments to suggest that that's not true.
What, reggae?
Well, my experience tells me that
your experience isn't enough to base global movements of populations. I'm afraid that's
but there's lots of like you said.
So, I mean, some of my best friends are immigrants. I get it. All right. So next question.
No. So there's lots of things happening in the UK at the moment, in Leicester, where Hindu nationalists are stoking up tensions with the Muslim community.
And it's not the Muslims. No, it's not. They're not anything to do with it. They're the innocent. They're always innocent, aren't they? I mean, don't look back in anger. Of course,
but there was a bus from North London that went up to Leicester full of nationalists to stoke tension, right? Why are they going up there to fucking stoke tension? There's all kinds of complexity.
Because they're Hindus.
Chris, there's no simplistic sound bites to describe what's going on in the world. And I think sometimes what you do is you try to fucking describe something in a sound bite, right?
Give me one example of when I've ever done that.
Well, I think like what you talk about communism, like as a thing of like trying to sum stuff up as like Marxism, like BLM, like as a Marxist organization.
Liam, have you studied communism?
I know that you're more intelligent than me.
No, that's not necessarily true. But have you studied Marxism or communism?
I mean, I've read a few like books on, on Stalin's Russia and.
But have you studied communism and Marxism?
Not to a great extent, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever tried to put a soundbite out. I was a communist for 15 years.
I know, mate. I know, but look, I'm not trying to like dig you out. But all I'm saying is, like, it feels like, like when I say something, it's like to try and respond with like an example of something else, so that what I'm saying must be bollocks. And it's what I'm trying to say is that like the world's really complex, right? So if I say something and you give another example, it's like, yeah, your example could be correct. And I'm not saying for 1 second that because I make a statement that I necessarily say that the statement that you offer to me is like wrong. I'm not saying that, right? But all I'm saying is that like things are really complicated and loads of things have happened, and also
but Liam, if you understand that, you can see why I responded quite badly to you saying I had some of the best times of my life with West Indians. I mean, I'm sure you did. I grew up around Hindus. They were great kids. But
yeah, exactly.
But the world's a bit. I'll let you speak.
Okay.
But the world's a bit more complicated than that, and that's what you just said.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next question, because I want to talk to you about what we are here for. Did we do that? Okay, Pax Max has got another one. Liam. He's sticking with this one. The big generators, nuclear, gas, and oil, provide the. I think that's a typo. His English isn't his first language, but a stable. Okay, Liam. I just wanted to say Liam again 3 times now. 4 now. Liam. The big generators nuclear gas and oil provides the stable base load and system frequency. The renewables can't. They actually create unstable chaos. Besides that, renewables also need energy storages to be viable. Add that on top of the poor economics. I don't think it's a question as such, but I think
you type it out. Like I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, cool then, like keep believing that oil and gas is going to sort you out.
But
like,
there is a fair amount of oil and gas left, isn't there? Like Venezuela alone has got Venezuela's got enough oil to see the world for something like 2,000 years alone, hasn't it?
Yeah. So do you know where oil and gas comes from?
Dinosaur poo.
Exactly. So if you look back in the world's geological history, like the climate was really unstable, right? Like, or at times it was like, you know, like life was in the balance, like many times through various, and sometimes, you know, like the world is a really like unstable place. At one point, like an asteroid fucking hit the Earth apparently, and nearly like ruined it all for all of us. So oil and gas is basically what happened over millions of years is death matter leaves.
We know where oil and gas come from. Come on, cut to the chase.
So like it's settled into the ground over millions of years, and that's what allowed the carbon parts per million to stable to an extent. So for the past 10,000 years, I'm actually reading a book by David Graeber, which talks about his argument is that the big myth is that like farming was humanity's ability to create civilization. And what he says in this book is that is actually a load of bollocks, is that like human beings understood farming, but because life was so abundant in various parts of the world, is that they kind of knew how to farm, but they could just go and catch a fish and fucking collect berries and stuff like that. So they didn't need to bother, right? I know that you might disagree with that. It's just an argument, right? So, okay. So basically, I've lost where I'm going now.
It's all right. Oil comes out the ground from old trees.
Oil comes out the ground. So yeah. So basically, what's happened over the last 250 years is that we've increased the rate through burning the oil and gas. We've increased the rate of parts per million of carbon in the atmosphere that's never been seen. Like that's the thing. Human beings are an amazing species because we've worked this fucking mad thing out how to power civilization. But it's like got a consequence to it. And it's and we all know that, don't we? We all know, like, oh, right, things have consequences. And I think, like, as a species, we've got this thing now where we can choose to ignore it, or we could choose to think, actually, yeah, there's something in this. There's this energy that's been fucking stored in the ground for millions of years. And for us to think that by burning it all doesn't have a consequence.
No, I don't think anyone thinks that. I don't think anyone thinks it does.
Some people do, Chris. I don't think you do because you've got an intelligence.
You know, if you burn something, you're going to transfer that energy somehow. So
of
that
course.
I think
that ultimately is what's happening. And the planet and the Earth system is basically saying to us is like you can't get away with this forever.
Okay, but Liam, you're going to university, and you know, you're planning for a future. Yeah. So it would seem that you're quite hopeful that
no, not a future in that sense. It's like my perspective on the world is to live in the moment and to enjoy what I do now. I'm enjoying speaking to you.
But isn't that what people are doing?
after like many years of not seeing you, it's a pleasure to be able to speak to you, even though we're disagreeing. I find it a pleasure.
Right.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It's a pleasure. So my reasoning for going to university is not necessarily to get a career. It's to enjoy the learning in the moment for the sake of learning, because that is
and that's what people who are doing, who are burning oil and gas. They're living their lives, and there will be consequences. And humans tend to take a while to sort things out. Nuclear power's taken a while to get right, but I kind of think we're getting there. And
but physics doesn't give a shit about what humans think. It doesn't give a fuck.
What doesn't?
So like, if you're willing to accept that, like, this is our lot, and that in 100 years' time it's all over for humans.
No, I don't think that.
I think that is a position. No, I'm not saying you do, but that is a position that some people could take. Like, oh right, it's kind of, this is the way it is, and we're all gonna fucking die. That is a position that some.
I agree. Some people think that, but I don't.
So, like,
I just think that
whether you do or don't, right? And my thing is, like, I think that we should attempt with every fiber of our being to continue life, because life is great, right? Life throughout all the fucking, you know, all the shit, all the fucking arguing, all the polarization, all the war, all the fucking shit that we've had to start with. Life is great, isn't it?
I agree, life is great. I love it. But when you're at university studying literature, you know, using energy, that's not fighting with every fiber of your being, is it?
I've done the fighting.
Oh, so you've done your year. You've earned your stripes.
Yeah, I've been doing it for like since 2019. I've got 20 arrests.
3 years.
I'm looking at going to prison. I've done more than you, mate. Right?
It's like national service, is it? If you get your 3 years in, you've done your bit. All right. Well, next question.
Like if you want to know the truth, my belief now is that I actually am starting to be convinced that we can't turn it around. I don't think it's possible to turn it around. My sort of.
No, I think we will. I just think humans take. I think humans need things to reach a catastrophe.
Like I said, physics doesn't give a fuck how long humans need to take. It doesn't care. Yeah, and that's my position on it. Is from what I've assessed from the numbers. It's the numbers that you need to look at. And what I can see politically is that there's too many people that are against turning it around. I'm still going to sit in the road and do what I need to do, but my thing is, like, I'm not prepared. Like, Insulate Britain took 9 months out of my life, Chris. It was a lot of preparation. We had to convince loads of, like, we sat in meetings with thousands of people that thought we were mad, and only 100 of them turned up. So, and I'm not prepared to, like, devote 100% of my life to that anymore, because I've done my job.
Liam, it's 2:45 in the morning here. I need to get through these questions. I've got to get some sleep. Planet X says Warm Front will insulate your home for free. I don't know if is Warm Front a company.
Tell him to fuck off.
There you go. I wouldn't do that. Manny Moo says talk about climate facts, not politics. Maybe I've already said that.
Oh, it is a political question, not a private.
Fair point. Brick Dictate. Thank you, John. Did you send that one twice, John? Or have I just read it twice? Oh, no, you did say it twice. Brick Dictator says, Liam, why is Doggerland underwater?
I don't know.
I don't know what that means, Brick Dictator. That's gone right above my head. Okay. Right. The real Golden Buddha says...
I saw him the other day, the real Golden Buddha. Did he put something up in the chat?
Weirdly enough, I said that I went in the Golden Buddha in Patong once. I was rattling in some Thai brass.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you telling the story, the other day.
It wasn't a good idea. It was really, it was spiritually overwhelming. Now, Golden Buddha, I'm not sure deaths were caused. Did Insulate Britain cause deaths?
No, so that the stroke that people that was talked about on that interview, we we talked to LBC and we tried to say, who is that person and who is that woman that had the stroke, and we could never work it out. It was a load of like, there was no way that somebody got stuck in traffic for 6 hours.
I've got no reason to disbelieve you on that at all. I think the media are lying bastards. I've seen so much of it since I was a kid up until the present day. And you know, you'd have thought if that person existed, they'd have come forward.
Yeah, we asked. We said, like, who is that? Who is that person? And where are they? Like, and they never came back, like, with anything. Like,
Liam, was that on the M25?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a stroke in a car on the M25, you ain't getting to the hospital in time anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But the hard shoulder was free, and like an ambulance could have got there. Like, it could have been sorted out. And to be honest, there wasn't any 6-hour tailbacks. We didn't create any 6-hour tailbacks. And that's what the guy said. And like, to this day, I'm like, well, where is he? And where's the mother? Like, they don't exist. So it's just bollocks, really.
The media, the legacy media makes shit up all the time. I can believe that. Billy Blogs, the Niggler, has asked a question we've already asked about stopping migrants because they increase the carbon footprint. Should we stop Africa for advancing for the same reason?
What's that?
I think we already answered that one earlier. I don't want to go down that road again. It was just about increasing the carbon footprint of England by taking more people in. We did deal with that earlier. Nice one, Bildo. Always appreciated. Rollo, are you still there, Liam?
Yeah, I'm still here, yeah.
All right. Rollo says, biodigesters in every town sewage works. Any good?
I don't know. Biodigesters? What are they?
I don't know. I thought that was just a human. Just someone eating. Okay. Al Mac in the chat says that he knows people that were stuck for 6 hours. You're lying.
Yeah, well, get them on here.
I mean, I must admit, I have plenty of people tell me. I hear these things. I'm not saying this is your situation, Al, but people tell me things about things, and when I try, I've asked people, I'd love to have him on the channel, and then they weirdly disappear. Not about that instant, but I think I've certainly experienced these kind of Chinese.
Listen, 6-hour tailbacks happen fucking twice a week on the M25.
Mate, I grew up in Dartford, and it's just gridlocked at the M25.
Yeah, it's all bollocks, mate. I mean, we've just had 10 days. Parliament Square and Whitehall has been shut for 10 days because of the funeral and the Queen and that. But that's all right. But as soon as someone else does it, it's a problem.
Right, here we go. Yeah, there you go. That's a fair point. And that's central London as well, which is, you know, they told me they couldn't put my internet in Soho because they can't dig up the roads because it gridlocks London. But, you know, they seem to be right. Anyway, so many questions. Paxmax says, I've lived nearly all my 45-year-old life within 25 kilometres. Paxmax, don't say that, mate. You're going to make me cry. I've had a huge impact on my environment. Warmer winter, much less snow, closing of entire winter industries because of it. It's fucked. Not really a question.
No, but he sounds like he gets what I'm talking about.
But hang on, we've got 2 Paxmax. Oh, that was a super chat. And then Paxmax says again, global warming is not a threat towards humans as a species. We will survive it, no problem. It's just there will be horrendous wars over resources. So life as we know it will be put to death. Instead, life will be a constant state of wars on a global scale. Now, interestingly, Paxmax, I see that happening with the advance of globalism.
Yeah, but they're connected, aren't they, those two? Do you know that you put that thing on the line? You talked about that thing, didn't you? Did you remember that fucking city that's like...
Oh, yeah, the line. Did you see it? Yeah,
so that is a response to, like, people knowing what's going to happen.
That makes sense. I mean, it's a terrible response because I can't see it working.
No, yeah.
But you can understand why people with money are starting to look at hiding away in these biospheres.
Yeah.
Okay, nice one, Pax Max. And you know, I do believe in man-made climate change. I do believe it's a problem, but I do also believe we've got the solution in nuclear. And I just think, as with everything, humans need to be shaken out of their daily lives by some actual consequences before they start doing anything.
But one of the consequences is sitting on the M25, Chris. That's my argument, is that is a consequence.
No, it is. Agreed, it is.
It's out of it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's just not a big enough one. What will
well,
be
yeah, potentially, but what will happen is that over the next few years, more people, like what will happen is over the next few years is more people will start doing what people were doing in Insulate Britain. That will happen.
Yeah, I think so, and I think so with a lot of anti-globalist organisations will build up in numbers, and that I think that's a positive thing.
And I think like the climate movement and the anti-globalist movement, I think there's things to be worked out in terms of, you know, this obsession with immigration and whatever, because I don't believe that, but take that aside.
Just write it off then, an obsession.
No, but what I think is that, like, that's the argument that I'm making, is that, like, behind, it's not the poor people that are trying to move that are the problem, right? They're our comrades almost, right? And I know that's a communist term, but like, it's the people with power and money that are the globalists that are the problem. That's
I
my
agree.
argument.
I agree. Liam, I don't hate anyone. I live in Cambodia. I'm not a racist.
Yeah. I know, mate. Look, if I thought that you did, I wouldn't be speaking to you, because we knew each other from back in the day, and I know that you were always sound with me whenever I saw you, and and I know, like, we've got like potentially different like political beliefs, but like ultimately, like, I know you're a good bloke, you know, and that's what I think about most people.
High five.
That's what I think about most people, is that we're all like inherently like all right, you know, and I think we can work this stuff out. Hopefully that can happen.
Yeah, fair points. I think you're a secret closet communist in the making. Right, here we go. Niggling Bill, thanks Bill for the donation. A lady could die over there. Does Liam realise? Right,
Liam,
we call this geezer Niggling Bill because he is a proper niggler, and this will explain.
Does he call himself Bill? Just Bill.
Billy Blogs.
Oh right, but you call him Niggling Bill.
Well, you're about to find out why. Does Liam realise he is part of the neo-Malthusian globalist cult funded by...
Yeah, I do, yeah. Next question.
Hang on. Does Liam realise... No, it gets better. I've got to respect every question. Does Liam realise he is part of a neo-Malthusian globalist cult funded by billionaire... World Economic Forum capitalists, global CCP-style communism for the plebs is the solution? Question mark.
Is the question mark?
Yeah, here's the question.
Go on.
Who should we cull? Fucking hell.
Fuck off.
Who should we cull to reduce the emissions of plant fertilizer gas? The 7% that is white.
We should cull you, Bill, first.
Let's have no. Let's cull no one.
You.
That was an odd one, young William. I'll give you that. Arklow Rocks. Hello, mate. Thank you for the donation, and thank you, Bill. I mean, I read it. It's a tricky one to. It's nearly 3 a.m. in the morning here. Arklow says, Chris, as your buddy.
What about Liam?
He called you my buddy. There you go. Has your buddy looked at Potholer 54's content?
No.
It's very level and clear-headed and free of ball plop on this subject matter. So I'm assuming that's a YouTube channel, Potholer 54. Maybe something to have a look at.
Who asked that question?
A bloke called Arklow Rocks, who's a fine gentleman.
Potholer what?
Potholer 54, but 54 in numerals. So Potholer 54.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out, mate.
Nice one, Arkglow. Niggling Bill says, "What is your solution? What is your solution for the world economy? How would you manage the world to be in perpetual balance with nature?"
I don't know. Like this is like so. This David Graeber book that I'm reading at the moment. So he talks about like in Neolithic times or prehistory or whatever. He's talking about evidence of. I can't remember the word that he uses.
Wolfie? Can someone confirm that's Wolfie, please? Sorry, Liam. Carry on.
Right, mate. He talks about. I should have written the word down, but basically he talks about this evidence that he uses Native Americans like thousands of years ago, and they use archaeological evidence, and it's like speculative because obviously there's so much you can know from that. But he talks about like there's quite good evidence to suggest that like in Native America thousands of years ago before the Europeans got there, that above this river, so there was in California there was this one set of people, and above this river there was this other set of people, and the people in the north like used to have slaves.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning, mate. Crank it up a bit, eh?
There was people that used to have slaves, and then in the south there was people that completely rejected slavery as an idea, and this kind of like pattern goes on in different parts of the world. And so what it is that like ways to live in human history. Like if you saw one set of people living in this way, like you rejected that and you chose a different way. And there's all kinds of different ways that human beings can decide that they want to live their lives. And I think that's like got some fucking. I think that's got some truth to it. So if people want to live in a fucking totalitarian, Russell Brand talks about this bollocks, doesn't he? You know, if people want to live in this fucking totalitarian fucking world over there, they can. And if people want to do this, they can. But I don't think that's probably going to be possible in 2022. But I think it's like human beings imagined this world into fruition, right? That is like the case because we can see it, and they can just as easily imagine another world where we all get on and like fucking. But
do you support Spurs?
No, I'm a Wimbledon supporter.
That's all right. Okay. Okay.
Are you fucking? You're Arsenal season ticket holder, aren't you?
Not anymore. It's a long travel.
Yeah, but you used to be. Didn't you?
Yeah, I blagged one of those.
Did you see him at Highbury?
No, God, no.
Fucking plastic, fucking.
Oh my God, Wimbledon supporter daring to dig out Arsenal. Does the sun control the Earth's temperature?
Are you fucking desperate to claim that you was a Highbury fucking?
No, I'm outright. No, never went to Highbury. No, I was too busy. Does the sun control the Earth's temperature?
Yeah, there's evidence in there that sunspots and stuff controlled. That's what I'm saying. It's a really complex system.
It is. 42. Thank you, 42. He also said.
Wait, do you want to know a good story?
No, because it's 3 o'clock in the morning, Liam, and I've got to turn it. I've got to turn it in, mate.
I was doing a talk.
No, I'm gonna mute. I'm gonna mute you.
No, Piers.
Just cut. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, if you can hear me, Liam, I'm going to ask the next question. Do you want to know a story? Don't tell me about people imagining the world and how oil was formed. 42 says that 0.3% CO2 in the atmosphere is the correct answer. But I must admit, 42, that Liam said it was somewhere around 3 to 400 parts per million, which works out at about 0.03%, 0.04%. So I think that it's a different way of measuring it, but I think that's what he said. Right, I'm letting you back on. Right, you have right. Next one.
I'm just
When
gonna
the
talk about
green
what I'm gonna
impact,
talk about.
what's the green? Everyone going for this one. What's the green impact in
I'm
Britain
not
due
going to
to
answer this
third?
question. I'm
No,
just
I
gonna say
don't
what
think you
I'm
should
gonna
because
say.
we've answered it so many times. We've
No,
had this.
I'm going to talk about the story.
What's the green impact in Britain due to third world immigration? Well, he's already answered that. Liam suggests that the cause of immigration is historical, and we already went there. John Palmer, thank you, Rags. John Palmer said, have you had the Coof shots, and are you triple boosted?
I'm going to just talk about the Piers Corbyn story.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Hang on.
Oh,
You're muted. Anglo-Saxon. Saxon. Sorry, Anglo. We got a bit close then. Liam, I've tried. I've listened. I've been patient. Haven't agreed with anything you've said. Respect for coming on, though. And then John Palmer finishes the questions. Liam, what is a
if you're
woman?
tired, Chris, and you want to go to bed, that's fine.
No, I will do shortly. Liam, what is a woman?
Piers Corbyn turned up at one of my talks.
No. You can. I told you how to set up a YouTube channel. That can be your first video, the Piers Corbyn story. Liam, can you answer that question? What is a woman?
No.
No, don't want to do that one.
What
Okay.
is a woman? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, you want to get into the trans thing?
No, just what is a woman? That someone asked that question, not me. That's a legit question someone asked.
Yeah, but all your mob are obsessed with the trans debate.
How rude! Your mob are obsessed, says a bloke who sat in the road for 12 months. Yeah, we're mad for it.
Hey, Chris, do you reckon if I came to Cambodia, you'd have a drink with me?
Yeah, of course. What a ridiculous question. What?
All right,
What?
cool.
We haven't
Yeah,
fallen
the
out.
trans, a woman is
No
a
one
woman.
talked about. No one mentioned trans. Just what is a woman? Can you answer that question?
I think that like a woman is somebody that says to me that they're a woman.
Oh, so someone who identifies as a woman.
Yeah, I mean, like I know this trans thing is. Do you know what the percentage of the UK identifies trans?
No.
I thought you should know that.
No, I don't, because they make it all up, and you know, it's of no
What is
interest.
it? Like less than 1%.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you know, in the last 4
Like,
years, it's just...
my feeling on all this is that like I've met trans people, right?
Some of my best friends are trans. Go on.
Yeah, and,
You had some of the best times of your life with your West Indian trans friends.
Well, I can only go on my own experience of like what.
And that's your biggest mistake right there, because that is not how you think about the world. You do not.
So how do you think about the world then?
Well, you look at evidence and you look at history, not your own life.
You just said to me that history doesn't matter, mate.
Again, I never. What? Why would I?
You said
say
before
that
like the history 200 years ago, it doesn't matter.
No, it was a very specific example of history affecting people today from 200 years ago. That
Yeah,
their
my
family
argument is that it does affect them.
Okay.
It's history.
You said that. You said that.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Billy Blogg said, "Would you take a refugee?"
No, hang on a minute. Let's stay on the woman thing, because I think.
Yeah, but you haven't answered it. You're talking about trans. I just want to know what a woman is.
Well, a woman, obviously, in our to me, is somebody that's got I don't know a better word. A
you
vagina,
can say vagina.
A vagina.
You can say vulva.
You're not going to get banned on YouTube for that.
You can say real bum fanny.
Bum fanny or mouth nose.
Now, thank you everyone for your questions and your patience. And Liam, where would you say you stood politically? Are you on the left or?
I think I'm on the. Well, I agree with your position that like left and right is actually. I'm against this idea that you put your stake in the ground and you decide what you are, right? But I think that like workers' rights in this country, in the UK, have been gained by the refusal to work. So what you would call a strike, I suppose. And I think that you, Chris, would like agree with that. Like, if you're dealing with,
I think the unions decimated this country. It was hell in the 70s, and the likes of
okay.
Look,
So that's
I'm
cool,
all
then.
over the
So that's
working
cool.
class.
So, but I think that you're like, I'm really shocked because you're like an incredibly intelligent guy, and I think that you've taken a position and you have to stand by it. But like for me, like the only way that workers get their rights is by refusing their labour. Because that's the only power that we have. And if you're talking
why did you sit in the road then? Why didn't you refuse to work?
It's the same kind of, if you look at the RMT, for example, who have just announced a strike on the 1st of October, they're getting accused of affecting normal people in the same way that Insulate Britain did. We got told that we were affecting ordinary people.
Liam, on this, I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree that if the working classes collectivized, they would be the most powerful movement in the nation.
Yeah, so that's right. So my position on so if you want to talk about the left, but the left hates somebody like me, right?
The left have abandoned the working class.
I think you're right. I think you're right. So, but like for me, like this idea of like striking, which is like traditionally this idea of like the left, as you might call it. I think, yeah, I'm in total agreement that that's what we should be doing as a country. We should be refusing to work until we get better paying conditions.
The problem is they've atomized us. They've prevented us from collectivizing. And
what do you do? Just defeat? You just accept defeat?
No.
What do you do then?
Well, you do what you can. You know.
So you strike, and that's
but there's not. Okay, but you either didn't listen or you didn't hear or didn't understand. There's not enough people striking simultaneously because there's no collective.
That's starting to happen.
Well, okay. Well, that will be a positive thing.
And for me, that is a position traditionally of what you might call the left. But I think somebody like you and some of your viewers would also agree that that is actually a key component of how we defeat this globalization that you described.
I think pretty much everyone here would agree that collectivization would be a great thing. Yes.
And I think it's a refusal of our labour. So in that sense, I'm of the left, you might say. But like in other ways, like in Insulate Britain, we used red, white and blue. We talked about Churchill. We talked about a love, like I talked about loving my country, and to the left that is an abhorrence, and
yeah,
so
I know.
you get fucking castigated for saying that you love your country, and that's what I mean in terms of like people in our history, like the people that worked in the mills that used to have to work 14-hour days, 7 days a week, that got treated like shit, that we've got a history of rebelling that. And
we've also got a history of failing at rebelling.
Yeah, of course. Failure is a part of it. Like I failed. Like
Liam, you're going to have to save this for your channel. We've done 3 hours. I've been working all day. It's gone 3 o'clock in the morning. It's wonderful that you've got this energy and this wish to talk. You're setting up a channel, aren't you? So
yeah, I'll send you the link to it, mate.
Let me know when that's up, and we could maybe come on your channel, have a chat about something else. Liam, all jokes aside, thank you for coming on.
It's been a real pleasure to speak.
Without a doubt, I knew it would be a largely hostile audience, and but having said that, Anglo said something nice, and a few other people also understand that you know, you knew where you were coming, and you still come. And it's been lovely to talk to you. And I'm glad that
it's been really nice to speak to you, and also to, because I know people disagree and whatever, but I appreciate that even if people do disagree with me still, that they've just listened and whatever.
We've had over 150 people here for the majority of the stream. That's they're good numbers for me on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so many. Yeah, there you go. Loads of people are saying, talking about your channel. Moody Edge has been savage all through this stream. Every time I see one of his, I'm like, "Hey, Liam, once I'll leave you on this. I got this Air Force pilot on here, right, and it went down an absolute storm, and then I got a soldier on." Chris Thrall, actually, and it went down an absolute storm. So I thought, oh, this is good. I'll get someone else like that. And I got this copper on, right? And he come on, and I used to wear a different pair of glasses and a winter hat.
Yeah,
you know that hat.
Yeah.
And he dressed up like that when he first come on, and it was a little bit funny, although a few other people had done it. And he turned out to be a terrible guest. And I had to just sit here, and I had to stop looking at the chat. He was making so many really weak excuses, and people have been quite sort of, they're digging you out, but it's kind of light-hearted. But not when that copper come on, it was like, get this cunt off,
Yeah.
Like that.
But that's the thing, like Chris, like I don't shy away from these things, because I know, like, people can disagree with me, like my mates disagree with me, but at the end of the day, like, you give me an hour and like people can just see, like, like I'm still a bloke. Do you see what I mean? Like, and that's what I am. I'm a bloke who grew up on building sites. I grew up where I grew up, and I know I've got a semi amount of confidence to know that I've got a position, and I know people disagree with it, but I just want to.
I wouldn't have got you on if I didn't already.
No, I know that, mate. Because I know when we used to see each other, like, you was always, sound bloke, mate. And it's really, really lovely just to connect with you for a few hours and also, like, contribute to what you're doing. And I also think I've got a lot of admiration for how you've hustling a life out in Cambodia. And, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, because that's what you're doing.
ODYSEE says we definitely need to get you on once a week, and I'll tell you why. Because, like, I stream almost every day, and so most of these people are here every day. But the chat has been really on peak form, just ripping the piss, not necessarily out of you, but many things, and so it's been good fun. Fuck off. He's a lovely bloke. It's a joke. Hello, Little Red. Long time no see. Oh my God. The last Norton guy Chris had on, he died. It wasn't Norton. It was, what was it? What's his name? McAfee. I had McAfee on here in about 2 weeks.
Someone put that in the chat. I thought they were talking about the fucking software guy.
No, they were. That's who I had him on here, and it lasted about 3 minutes.
You had him on this channel?
Yeah, for about 3 minutes, and he rage quit. He rage quit. Yeah, he didn't like it at all. He went, "Well, how about I fucking interrogate you?" I went, "Yeah, go on, I don't care." And he was like, he couldn't even turn his computer off. This computer genius. He was trying to get rid of me, and his missus had to tell him how to do it. I've got to go. I'm going to kick you out. Whatever you do, take care. Look after yourself, and bless you.
Let's catch up one time, man.
Yeah, we'll do. I'll hit you up on Twitter. Take care, Liam. Ta-da, mate. There you go, people. That was Liam Norton. What a laugh. In fairness, what a laugh. And also, I'll be honest with you, would I go into an environment that I knew would be that difficult? I'm not sure I would, because because it's tiring. It's tiring. And, he's been nicked 20 times. And as I said to you before he come on, he is a good bloke. And I wouldn't have got him on if I just thought he was some leftist fucking lunatic. I wouldn't have done, because it's a waste of time. And so I believe that he is doing things that he thinks are good for the world, and sometimes I think that counts. I know nationalists who I can't stand. I think they're arseholes. And I'll speak to Liam all day long over them, because they are arseholes. They've called me all sorts of awful names and tried to get me in trouble and slandered me. They can fuck off. And so there's that. Right. I think we're going to have to go traditional for the outro music, just to bring us all back together. If you're still watching, Liam, like I know you will, because everyone does when the stream ends, thanks for coming on, mate, in all seriousness. And I think you've done really well. Under the conditions, don't become a communist. Don't forget my Substack. If you're new here or if you haven't signed up, top link in the description. Go and read some of my stories. If you don't like them, tell me you don't like them. That's no dramas to me. I was moaning that I lost 4 subscribers because I give my story a silly title. Well, I changed the title. One of those 4 subscribers said in here yesterday, he said, I just unsubscribed. It was a vulture droid. He said, I just unsubscribed for a laugh. I'll resubscribe. He just wanted to add to it. But 32 new subs since then. So, no problem. Easily handled. But could always do with more. And it's a good way of supporting this channel. It's totally free, but it helps with my ego. And, if my ego's going well, the streams go well. Thanks to everyone who donated. Thanks to Stephen Rags for looking after the place. Thanks for Billy Blogs for being Pete Niggler. And thanks to you lot who've been on absolute fire. While I was listening, I was watching, and sometimes I was just thinking, absolutely savage. And that's what we do here. We have a good time, and I love it. Bless you all. This is a little tune you might know. I'll probably see you tomorrow. Go and check out my video. It's 40 minutes long, which is a bit long, but it's about, as I said at the beginning, it's about Orientalism and that whole nonsense of Orientalism and your Edward Said and your Stuart Hall. That's where all this social justice comes from. That's where gender studies comes from. That's where all of that, that's where feminism and post-colonial studies comes from. That's the root of it all. So go check that out. It's a cracking 40-minute video. So, but there's some very sensual dancing at the end. So, check it out. See you tomorrow, people. Ta-ta.
All the world loves a lover. All the girls in every land are meant to know the joy of loving is to live in the
Sorry,
world
Bill, I'm missing
of man. There's someone who's waiting for you. Soon the world will be yours for a time.
He loves
Music
it now,
starts
look.
to play, night will turn to day, darkness disappears when the one you love is near. You're in man comes. All the world loves the lover, all the girls in every land are meant to know. Joy of loving is to live in the world of mankind. There's a place that is waiting for you, a world where the best in life is free, where time is always spring, happiness is king. The dreams you dream come true when the one you love loves you. You're in man.
Great stuff, people. Excellent scrubbage tonight. Look at Crusher, great, amazing. It was great fun, and again, thanks to Liam. You know, well done. Think about it. Would you do that really? I don't know if I would. So I'm impressed, and I'm very impressed with you lot. You have me cracking up with my breath. Ta-da!
All the world loves a lover. All the girls in every land on man below. Joy of loving is to live in the world of mankind.
Hello, Della. Good Lord, Della's on the firm. I didn't get through all the comments, people. Hello, Zeitgeist. Didn't even know you were here, son. Nice to see you. There you go. No, Liam is not using his bum fanny now. It was him who told me about a nose mouth. I think a nose mouth is worse. I said that already, didn't I? I've got to go to bed. Look after yourselves, people. Go on, piss off down your own end, or you get a clip round the ear. Hoita!